I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me feeling like just another fool. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd felt deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire, echoed across the board. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still, somehow I'm considering when the next game's nigh, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your sweet little lies. I fell for all your deceptions, like I always do. Todd left me sat here, wishing the things he said were true.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Good to see you. How are you? Hopefully good. Are you feeling upscaled? Are you feeling photorealistic pixel? Are you feeling bonita? I am. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Glad to have you here today. We have a number of things we're going to get to. It's a good day. I told you guys in chat, I made the event for the stream yesterday. Told you guys, I was like, I have a feeling there's going to be news tomorrow. I have a feeling there's going to be stuff to talk about. Because like Monday morning, not much. I was like, by Tuesday morning, there should be plenty. And sure enough, oh, baby. Plenty. We can touch on some of the aftermath of the announcement of DLSS 5, because there's plenty to talk about there. But more importantly, or I guess shockingly, is the announcement of the Starfield updates and overhaul, everything there. And we even got our first look at base PS5 footage for Crimson Desert. That's right. We actually know what it looks like on a base PS5. We've seen it. So just you buckle up, baby. Just you buckle up. Because we got stuff to talk about. Review embargo is tomorrow. Ooh, baby. Plenty to talk about. It's going to be good. Overall's a bit of a stretch. How dare you doubt Todd? Do you want to see something cursed? It's going to come up later. But let me just show you. It's cursed. It's cursed, okay? Todd Howard using DLSS 5. Before, after. Tanya was behind it the whole time, dude. Tanya was behind it. We should have known. We should have known. Honestly, it's a dead giveaway from the outset. I was like, this isn't like Todd. This is more of a Tanya thing. And here we go. Right here. Right here. There it is. So yeah, you're welcome. Now you're never going to unsee that. You're going to see Todd as a hot smoker mom for the rest of your life. There you go. This isn't even like hot smoker mom. This is like LA midlife crisis smoker mom. I think. With an Instagram filter. But, you know, DLSS 5. Todd, yeah, dude, I seriously sat for like 2 minutes trying to think of like, what is a funny name that sounds like Todd but is a woman's name? There really isn't one. Like Tadette, Todya, like it doesn't happen. It's just not there. I know it's Todd is short for, I think, Theodore. I think. Or Teddy is short for Theodore. I have no idea. Todiana? Todisha? Oh, Todisha's good. Todisha's good. Toddan? Todwina? Todwina's good. I like that. Totcher? Tidia? Toddarina? Toodpole. Okay, I think we're getting lost. I think we're losing track. Oh god. Oh baby. Let's see. Sorry. Okay. Real quick, Steve, my entire X feed is obvious NVIDIA sponsored influencers at this point, hundreds and hundreds of paid counter critics. It won't help make games better. So some people just honestly like being contrarians, which is fine. You have the right to be a contrarian. We'll talk about it. And I do think that there are legitimately people who think that it looks awesome. Okay. We'll talk about it. We'll go through it. And there are people that like look at these shots and they're like, yeah, this is better. My point is, it looks like there's an AI slop filter over top. I understand that's not what it is. That's why in all my posts, I've said it looks like an AI slop filter. It doesn't matter how they're getting to the result. If the result is crap, the result is crap. Okay. So anybody who's like, oh, well, actually, it's actually just recalculating the light disbursement. And it's okay, cool. That's awesome for you. Still looks like shit. You know, like awesome. Cool. Glad to hear it. Doesn't matter. Still looks like crap. Okay. And I get it. People are like, well, it's going to start like this and it's going to get better. I'm sure it will. All we can judge and talk about right now is what we have right now, which looks like crap. Okay. So there's a lot of like, I don't even know. There's like gish galloping, there's deflection, there's straw man arguments, there's ad hominem attacks, calling anybody who likes or who hates it just like a hater who's standing in the way of technology. One dude was like, he implied that if you don't like this, you are on the same level as people that didn't want cars to replace horses. And I'm like, bro, it's not that deep. It just looks bad. Okay. It just looks bad. I like, obviously in 5 years, this probably is way better. If they revealed it 5 years from now, way better, I probably wouldn't be saying it looks bad because it would probably look good. What I see looks bad though. So I'm going to tell you it looks bad. Okay, like it's not that complicated. This one, they're like, oh, it's just changing the lighting. Okay, it's also adding a 5 o'clock shadow on like a 15-year-old boy and turns him from like a 15-year-old into a dude that looks like he's applying for his third mortgage. Like it does change the look. And yes, developers can tweak it and can change it. What scares me more than anything is that Todd thought this was good. That's what scares me, bro. Like, that's what scares me. I understand they're like, well, it's just changing the lighting and materials. So what my understanding is that it's going through, it's informed by its data within the scene of the lighting. It understands this is a human face. So even though the skin in the creation engine is like super flat, it understands that this is supposed to be a person. So it goes through and it redoes that effectively to make it properly subsurface scatter the light, make it look like actual skin instead of a claymation monster, which is what most of the NPCs in Starfield look like by default. So it makes it look more realistic, which is why in the still shots, it looks good. What I brought up in my clip yesterday was that there's a reason they're only showing you little bitty snippets and why they cut to black the moment that they start to really move, because our brains are really good at detecting when something's fake. When it's a phony, a big fat phony, we're really good at that. This is still going to be like the animation quality, the lip sync quality and everything of the creation engine. That's not changing. So she's still going to talk like a robot, as you can see, with like weird eye movements, and it makes it even more uncanny because the skin looks so good and because the eyes are lit properly and because the lips actually cast shadows on her teeth properly. Our brains freak out. Now, if you are a robot, you may not care. That's cool. I'm proud of you. I'm an ally of robots. Just kidding. Just kidding. Filthy oil guzzlers. But if you're a robot and you don't get Uncanny Valley icks from this little clip, I would bet you really good money that you will feel that when you try to play 100 hours with this. I'll tell you what. Okay. Now, the point of all of this, like, I guess rage at this point is not to say that this tech should be abandoned, because clearly it's able to do some very impressive stuff to readdress and correct lighting and things like that. The background work that they do is really impressive. It actually creates more realistic bounce lighting and ray trace light. It does a really good job. That is legitimately impressive. We're not saying to throw this out, you know, throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that it needs serious adjustment, especially and specifically with faces. Like, this is actually changing the lighting on his face to make him look like he's in a studio environment, which I think loses something. You know, it changes the feeling of the scene when sexy Leon shows up versus rough, gruff Leon, not in studio lighting because he's not in a studio in this scene. You know, it's like the Netflixification. You know how every Netflix movie is lit the same and so they all kind of look identical? That's kind of what this makes me feel like, where it just goes through and adds this really weird lighting pass over top where it just makes everything feel really synthetic and artificial. And I think that's why it feels like AI slop filter over top, because any sort of intentionality with the lighting that was done, because bear in mind, the game was built with these graphics in mind. It was not built with DLSS 5 in mind. Eventually we'll get games that were built with it in mind, but we just don't see that yet, which is why I've said in 5 years, it's probably way, way better. And this is going to be a totally different conversation. All we can judge is what we see right now. And what we see right now, in my humble opinion, looks like hot donkey ass. Okay. Yes, there's potential. Anybody who's saying there's no potential is, like, I think being obtuse. But what we're judging right now, what we're seeing now, what they are claiming looks really good and looks revolutionary. I'm like, really? Because this one also, they cut off this one real quick. But like, watch how uncanny it gets when she gets the pass and then starts walking and talking. Because again, it's an Unreal Engine game. So like her face isn't moving the way you would expect it to. And so it's just really uncanny because like the animation quality can't keep up with the cinematic quality of the lighting or of the skin and stuff. So it just doesn't work. It works with like little still shots. I don't think it works for other stuff. This one's actually crazy. Again, because I just think it makes it look so different that it's like actually upsetting. Now, yes, the studios will be able to tune this in and tweak it, you know, twist dials and stuff, and that will help it look better. But like I said, the point of the outrage now is to tell studios, this is too far. This is too much. This is just a little too much. And that's why the memes have taken off. For example, Sluggerfly, Super Meat Boy. This is why the meme has taken off, because it makes what we saw yesterday makes it feel like they're stripping out art direction from games and they're just going with like this realism, which players clearly, or at least a lot of vocal players, don't like. And so they're like, can we walk it back? Can we chill a little bit? And my hope is they get it to the point where you, like most games, are doing much lighter work on protagonists and people and faces and stuff, and maybe use this tool primarily for background lighting adjustments and things like that, which will make more sense. This one was really upsetting. Came across my feed. Actually cursed. Actually cursed. Why is he so oily? Why is he so greasy? I don't like it. It's upsetting. Yeah, this one is another one. Realistic's always better. Yeah, this is why the memes have started spreading, because it feels like you're losing out on the, oh my god, I almost spilled that everywhere. It makes it feel like you're missing out on the creative flair, creative flair. Sorry, I spilled a little bit of my drink. Now I have to wipe it up. The wipe of shame. I think that's what they call this. Is that something else? Probably. Tanya. Oh, you want to see Tanya again? Okay. Without DLSS 5? With DLSS 5. Oh, Tanya. Oh, Tanya. What a visionary. Let's see. Let me catch up on these. Let me see. Silver Kitten. I did see Jeff's father not represented at the Oscars that said, you should catch up with the Tamagotchi Life sequel in April. Dude, I used to play Tamagotchi all the time when I was like a little kid, so I will have to do that. But yeah, they also skipped over the captain on the Titanic. He was also in Lord of the Rings. He passed away this past year, and they didn't include him. They always are. I don't know what they're smoking over at the Oscars, but I need some because it takes you to another planet apparently. Let's see. Raphael, thank you for the 21 months. I think you should apply an AI slap filter on your face during DLSS 5 segments. Bet NVIDIA would love it and invite you next time. I do think it would be funny. I do think it would be funny. I don't know if there's actually an easy way to do that with our workflow, but that would actually be really funny if we just... And we don't mention it. We don't acknowledge it at all. The whole segment, we just have like a beauty filter on my face. That would actually be really funny. I don't know how we would do that, but that would be really funny. Let's see. Vitonese, thank you. Thank you for the 10. Luke, NVIDIA says the SDK allows many levels of tweaking. So what we are seeing is DLSS doing its full thing, but can be used for little things too. I think you are the one making assumptions, my friend. As Todd himself, sorry, I'm so sorry. As Tanya himself, I want to be respectful. As Tanya stated in the video from which this screen capture is taken, they got the SDK and they put it into Starfield and got it running. And he said he felt it brought the game to life. So this is post tweaks and adjustments. What you saw in Starfield, again, is what they signed off on. So anybody who's like, well, I'm sure that it's going to be better and this is before they tweak it. No, bro, this is them after they implemented it into the game. This is after they got it working the way they were proud of and that the way they thought was good. They don't do these press announcements showing something they think looks bad. They put it out thinking that this is going to hype people up and get them super thrilled. Now, the big omnipresent question with all of this, which I do think is very, very fair to raise, is whether or not the average gamer gives a crap. And honestly, I don't think many of them do. I think I know this is NVIDIA, so it's not going to be available on console. But let's say, God forbid, AMD does something like this, and it's a toggle on your PS5 to like, do you want Pisser Extreme? It's the ultimate version of Pisser. So it's branded as all yellow. They call it Pisser Gold, the most concentrated form of Pisser. And you can enable it on select titles. And so if you want Pisser Gold, then you enable it on your game and it does this. I think the average player probably enables it often, frequently and often, which is upsetting. Because again, one of the other things about this that I just think you have to be is also why I think the knee-jerk reaction is really severe was pointed out, of course, by Nick Tech. If some game studios used previous versions of DLSS as a crutch to hit performance targets while skipping optimization, then you can bet that they're going to use DLSS 5 as a crutch to skip art direction altogether. If not art direction, they're going to use it to skip any sort of like efforts when it comes to lighting, to improving facial quality, skin rendering, because this is just it lets you skip it. It lets you skip it. And that's literally what's happening with Starfield. It's literally what they're doing here. Like, oh, your character looks like they're made out of paper mache and clay. No problem. No problem. Turn on DLSS 5. We got you. We got you. Yes, they're still going to talk like a sock puppet, but they're going to look nice and greasy for you. It's going to be good. You know, it's going to empower developers to cut corners. And to be clear, it's not just the developers. This is like a publisher dream. Why do you think the people that are getting behind this are the head honchos? Why do you think like the people that are most outspoken about it are the people at the very top who most benefit from cutting a year off the dev cycle so that they have more profitability? It's like Charlie Guimont, the son of Yves Guillemot. He's the one in their article for NVIDIA. He was the one that gave a big statement about how this is going to enable them to talk about games and to show games in the way they've always wanted to and all this. And he literally just got done destroying a company he started that was an Unagi Web 3. It was an Unagi Web 3 AI entertainment crossover platform. This is what he did before, and now he's jumping all in on like the DLSS 5 stuff because Daddy just gave him the keys to Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. Like, these are the people that are getting behind it. It's all these like AI bros, and it's cringe as shit. Okay, it's cringe. Eventually, it'll probably get good. But what we're seeing right now is just not it. It's just not it. Now, there's been some additional coverage with it. Notably, Digital Foundry got access to seeing it it looks like in their hotel room. They weren't allowed to direct capture the monitor, which I never understand why studios or publishers or NVIDIA would do this. Like, if you have a cool piece of tech, and you want to show it off to the point where you fly people out to showcase your tech and advertise it for you, why would you just let them like film the screen of a monitor or TV with a camera? Like, why would you do that? Why not just let them capture directly off the source? Because it's going to look better. Like, what are we doing? I guess it's because then they can excuse any sort of blurriness as, well, it's just the capture. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but dude, it's cringe. But this is what they said. And apparently there's drama behind the scenes. Okay. There's drama behind the scenes with us.
Hello there and welcome to a DF Direct special. We are at GTC at San Jose in America, and we have just
GDC. So it was at GDC when they saw this.
Seen DLSS 5, and I think it's fair to say that it's one of the most surprising, potentially disruptive, transformative, next generation technologies we've seen. Essentially, machine learning is being brought to lighting, the attempt being to bring photorealism to the games of today and indeed tomorrow.
I think the point is, when people counter that it's just altering lighting, when you're starting with, back a little bit, when you're starting with, hold on.
Photorealism to the games of today.
When you're starting with this, it's also doing a pass on like how actual skin reflects. So it's also changing how the materials react, which is why something like this can look so freaking different after this pass, where it looks like an AI face slop filter. I understand that's not what it is. Okay, for the love of God. I understand. That's why I said it looks like it. Okay? Okay? We all on the same page?
Mackenzie, you're joining me. You saw the demo as well.
Yes, Rich. I think this is probably the most impressive by quite a lot game demo I've seen in my time at Digital Foundry. So I think it's definitely worth discussing here today. It's a very special technology showcase, I would say.
Yeah, I think we should kick off with what is DLSS 5. Well, how do you describe it, Oliver? I mean, it is basically an attempt to, well, you know, traditionally you would see like an increase in hardware technology performance that would enable new lighting techniques. But I think what NVIDIA are essentially trying to do is kind of like bypass all of that.
Like, am I a boomer, or does DLSS 5 off look better? Am I crazy, or like, I feel like the DLSS 5 on for the environment just lightens everything and like squishes down the contrast level so everything just appears flatter?
Taking us like a generation or two beyond lighting as it's seen today, and it's done entirely through machine learning with a new form of DLSS that is complementary to the existing ones, frame generation and super resolution. So yeah, it's basically like a new string to the bow of DLSS. But you know, I think our first point of contact was this particular image of Resident Evil Requiem, where we saw this sequence here. So that's the original past-facing version that you're seeing there, and then kind of like the DLSS 5 take on it. Oliver, what do you think of this? Because this is...
And this is the bit that went viral, was this specific like side-by-side. It just, it changes the materials, the lighting, and whatever you want to point to so much that it just feels like literally one of those you know, make it real grok photo conversions. It changes how the light on her hand is actually calculated and dispersed, where you, like, as you can see, it doesn't even appear the same. It adds details to her knuckle that you can't even see in this shot. Over here, like, I understand it's working with the same model. My camera's in the way. Move, camera, move. There we go. There we go. But like also with the hair, it changes the hair and redoes that lighting so that it looks more realistic. That's not always the point for people. You know, they're playing a video game. They don't, like, their brain has not been trained to expect photorealism, especially because once you do that and the animation quality doesn't match photorealism, it just feels weird.
like quite extraordinary. We honestly, when we saw this for the first time, we didn't know actually what DLSS 5 was.
Yeah, this just blew me away. So basically you have Grace there in this scene. This is kind of a very famous scene from the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And obviously the path traced render has a great lighting detail, but then they swap over to DLSS 5. The first thing that I think sticks out to anyone here is the fidelity and realism in Grace's face. And it's almost like we've integrated a grab bag of graphical techniques here in one fell swoop. Grace's skin has a much more convincing specular response with quickly diffused specular highlights. Her hair is lit more realistically as strands closer to her scalp are occluded more heavily. Her eyes now have perfect specular highlights and they appear much more realistic and lifelike, I would say. And when you're looking at things like the specular response in her jacket, those things are much more true to life as well. I would say the lighting in the background is also considerably enhanced, especially when you look at elements like this lamp post here. Where in the DLSS 5 view, it looks much more convincingly reflective, like a real lamppost would behave in wet weather conditions. I think the kind of apparent aesthetic changes to Grace's face here will perhaps be most controversial, but throughout the other demos that we saw and the other shots that we saw in these games, I wasn't seeing nearly as much of a difference in terms of that DLSS 5 view of the character relative.
Bro, I mean, come on. Come on, dude. Like, oh, come on. She looks actually like the receptionist at a shop I had my car get some work done at. It's uncanny, dude. It's just uncanny. Like, you're gonna tell me that that doesn't also look like basically a different person. It's just, here's the thing, okay? Light. Professor Luke explains. Light interacts with objects, and that reflects into your ocular, as they call it in science, your ocular hole. Okay, the light comes in, bounces, this absorbs certain light in certain ways, and then it reflects light back off. You see green grass, that's because the grass is like reflecting green light back and absorbing all the waves of light that are not green. So you get the green reflected back to you. So how this material interacts with light changes how it looks. So the lighting is going to alter that. What this is doing is it's redoing much of that to the point where it looks more photorealistic, but it does not look the same. Even if the model stays the same underneath, it will still look totally different. So even if the mesh is the same, the geometry is the same, it's redoing how the material is actually calculated with the light that's coming in and bouncing underneath the skin to subsurface scatter underneath the skin and then reflect back to the camera, in this case, not the ocular hole. But that's why it looks so freaking different. And so you're not crazy to be like, I feel like it's totally different. Like it does feel totally different because it is. When you change how light works in a rendering pipeline, it changes everything. Because that's kind of the whole point. That's kind of what rendering is.
To a ray traced or path traced view of the same character.
Yeah, I think the important thing to point out, though, is that it's not actually replacing assets as such. So geometry, I think that's...
It's not replacing assets and geometry. It's effectively redoing all the materials, though, which is pretty important. It's pretty important. So the geometry may stay the same, sure. But when it goes through and does, again, that... where's that? Like when it's redoing all of the skin, all the fabric, it's going back over the hands to add details to the cuticle. Like, shocker, I'm going to break your brain now. Starfield does not actually have cuticle tech. Okay? It doesn't. They didn't add that. That wasn't a feature. This is like a DLSS 5 pass to add in the little bits of detail, okay? It looks more photorealistic, but it gets really uncanny. It gets really, really uncanny. It might look fine in a screenshot, but especially then when you pair the photorealistic face with the background that clearly is for a video game, it gives that feeling of a photoshopped face over a fake video game background, you know? It doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way. I'm just surprised that Digital Foundry, like, there's no pushback at all or questioning of it at all, how it's going to unify. Because this is the other piece. This is important, okay? Reportedly, DLSS 5 is using what they call a unified model. So it's trained on a bunch of different sources, clips, games, whatever you want to point to. And then that model is a unified model that's applied to every game. So they're not going to train it on like sci-fi games, and that's the sci-fi model, and then medieval games, and that's the medieval model. It's not doing that. What it's doing is it has one basically algorithm it's applying for all games that it interacts with. And that's part of the reason I think why so many of these games start to look the same when you see this filter applied to it, because it's doing the same thing to all of them, you know? And when you start messing with faces, our brains have evolved to detect that stuff. I actually saw a really unsettling thing. Somebody was like, our brains have evolved specifically to spot things that are uncanny with human faces. We have a very high sensitivity to fake human faces, to robotics, to animatronics, to poor CG, you know, that type of thing. We have a high sensitivity to that, which is why it's called the uncanny valley. Which indicates or suggests that at some point in our evolutionary history, there was a survival advantage to being able to detect fake humans or fake human faces, which is unsettling, because what would that have been? You know, it's like, wait, why? Why would we need, and why would there be a survival advantage to being able to detect imitated human faces, you know? Oh God. Realistically, it's probably just for like inbred humans that look off. Like there's a survival advantage to be able to detect that. But anyway, that's beside the point. That's a whole other thing. Lizards, probably.
That's quite remarkable because the geometry looks different on that Grace shot, but it's not. It's the same geometry. It's the same texture assets. It's simply going through a different form of lighting that, from NVIDIA's perspective, is kind of like next generation and transformative. And when you first see that shot, it's quite difficult to argue with that. I mean, you know, when you flick between the two, which one would you rather play? It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? What's quite interesting...
This shot looks way better. if they had like led with this, I think that there would have been much less outrage. I think the point is that it's not particularly consistent from shot to shot, from implementation to implementation, and that's because they leave it up to the devs. They leave it up to the artists to tweak it how they want. Apparently, there are tools. Just to be clear, there's tools for like masking out certain things. So if you want to have the AI or DLSS not touch faces, my understanding at least is that you can do that. You could have it just not touch the faces, but do stuff in the background. You could have it just do faces and leave the background alone. You know, you can actually tweak it how you want. But I think that's part of the reason why it's so jarring is because it looks like the implementations are really inconsistent, because they do show like this shot,
You know, isn't it? Kind of like next.
this side by side, where it's so different, it feels like, you know, the AI slop filter. I understand it's not what it is, again, but it feels so different, you know, that it's jarring. But this next shot,
Generation and transformative, and when you
that they
first see
show.
that shot, it's quite difficult to argue with that. I mean, you know, when you flick between the two, which one would you rather play? It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? What's quite
when you see this, I think this could work. This could be fine, especially for like cutscenes and stuff. But again, I think that the big test for this is not little, you know, 80 frame, 120 frame snippets. It's going to be extended gameplay to see what this actually looks like in movement. Now, they actually show a snippet of this in Oblivion, which is going to upset you. Where is it? Where is it? This one. Buckle up. If you've not seen this, dude, this one's hard. This, even if you are bullish on this one's going to be tough to say looks great. Okay.
Of the character models in the game are a little bit on the simpler side, but they still look a lot better when we put DLSS 5 on. I mean, they look a little bit uncanny, I would say, but definitely.
A little? What do you mean? What is that? Ew. Ew. Wait till he blinks.
The overall portrayal.
What is that? What is that? I was going to compare his eyes to something, but you know what? I'll let you fill in the blanks. His eyes look like they have something.
Portrayal of those characters is much.
What are we doing? Luke, it's going to get better. I know. Yes, it is. It's going to get better. This looks like crap, though.
Yeah, and we also took a quick look at Assassin's Creed Shadows here, which is quite remarkable in how it's handling environmental lighting and shadow there. It's, you know, it's radically transformed.
Yeah.
This must look better in person, because I'm gonna be real, like it loses all shadow like down here, over here. It just looks again like an Instagram filter over top. That might be why they're only allowed to film the screen, but I mean, I would imagine they're saying it looks better. It doesn't look better to me through this shot, so I feel like I'm missing something. But this one I don't.
I would definitely say so. Obviously, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a game that is a very handsome title, I would say, in general. It was obviously part of our graphics of the year list last year. But when we look at that base render, we see there are some issues with like shadow maps, and maybe the detailing in the foliage lighting is not quite as granular as you'd like. You move over to DLSS 5 and all those issues are basically fixed. Like all of a sudden the game looks like it has ray traced shadows, when in fact, of course, we know that it does not. And like the fog is integrated much more nicely into the scene. The overall lighting presentation is just dramatically improved to the point where if you were squinting, or even not really squinting, you could mistake this for an image of a real life forest, I'd have to say.
Yeah, they are attempting to bring photorealism to games with this, which I think is quite interesting, but also quite controversial as well, because this is basically today's game engines viewed through the lens of NVIDIA's AI model. And I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of discussion about whether this is the right direction.
Yeah.
A lot of discussion about whether this is actually what the the kind of ultimate intent of the developer actually is.
Yeah.
And I also think, we were told that the way the technology works is it actually integrates into NVIDIA Streamline.
Right.
So although developers can actually tune DLSS 5 lighting seemingly to be what they want it to be, there's going to be a lot of DLSS 5 mods happening to a lot of games, whether the developers like it or not, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to.
I mean, maybe for poops and giggles, but I would imagine that there's going to be a lot of like rollback mods to roll back DLSS to 4.5 instead of 5. Because that's also one interesting thing, is that this has been framed as DLSS 5, not as a subset feature of 5, but as DLSS 5. So like this is the next leap. This is the next thing. It's not like, with multi-frame generation where that is a toggle. You turn that on if you want to use it. This is DLSS 5. Like, this is the thing, which is very, very interesting to me. Like, that they're putting their eggs in this basket. But I think the conversation has been genuinely interesting to just see people debate whether photorealism is, for one, something that they like in their games or that they even want. And interestingly enough, I think it's made people realize that a lot of them don't actually want photorealism. The great thing about having a game that is not photorealistic is that your brain, again, excuses the shortcomings of the reality of it being a video game. You're not going to have photorealistic or lifelike animation with every facet of a character's being that we've evolved to detect and like care about. If I'm moving my arm and my like muscles are not contracting the way they do in real life, it would look weird to you. You might not even realize that it looks weird, but it would look weird. If everything else looks photorealistic, it would appear like a puppet, because your brain is trained to detect those problems, those shortcomings. And that's what this, I think, brings out, is that when you see it, it just goes full uncanny valley, because it's making the skin look realistic. It's making all these things look more realistic. But then any other shortcoming in the engine pulls it back, makes it look less immersive. I think the most impressive animation, the most impressive game engine in the world would still look uncanny if you were to put it through this filter to its maximum extent. And so realistically, I think at the end of all of this, let's just circle back. This isn't going away. Okay, like they're not going to like cut this or walk back DLSS 5.0. This represents billions of dollars of investment for NVIDIA. This is what they've been building for years. This is their ultimate vision for the future of gaming. They want what like, I don't know what they do is, are they going to do trailers, like DLSS 5 trailers, where they're having the game run through this process? And they're going to do trailers with that, but then you get the game, if you don't have DLSS 5 turned on, it looks totally different. Like, I don't know how that's going to work, but because we've already seen that a lot of optimization takes place with upscalers in mind. Are they going to start optimizing and doing art direction with DLSS 5 in mind? That gets weird, but they're not going to walk away from this. They're going to continue doubling down. I think if anything, the general practice is going to be to do it to a much lesser degree. Because people are already memeing on this. People are already, making the jokes about it and doing the Tanya's. People are already joking about it, and the jokes make themselves or write themselves. The memes make themselves. And so I think you'll continue to see this kind of whittled down as time goes by. I think that this is going to be a more rare implementation, because I think people are going to see this and just go, ick. More realistically, I think the average implementation is going to be much lesser, probably more in line, at least it seems like what with AC Shadows is doing, where it's mainly trying to overhaul some like environmental lighting and stuff. And that's what they're going to try to do, which is fine. Again, you can turn it off if you don't like it. My primary concern is this becoming an industry standard, like upscalers have basically become industry standard, and then it becomes the crutch upon which every major publisher leans to cut corners and save on costs. And we've seen that with optimization being god awful this generation, to the point where nowadays, if a game runs locked at a certain frame rate or at a decent resolution natively, we're shocked. We're like, what? It's crazy. Like, that used to be the norm, but now it's considered remarkable. We could get to the point where a game that renders and looks pretty good without DLSS 5 is considered remarkable. It's like, what do you mean? You did art direction without DLSS 5? You did subsurface scattering on skin without DLSS 5? Wow. Wow. Crazy. Crazy. So, no need for motion capture anymore. Please, for the love of God, tell me you're joking. I hope you're joking. Because that is not what this is. That is not even close to what this is. Oh my God. Oh my God. That hurts. That hurts. But ultimately, you know, the one thing that multi-billion-dollar trillion-dollar corporations hate more than like losing money and stuff, the one thing they hate more than that is people making fun of them and teasing them and mocking them. They do not like that. Shocker, executives at multi-billion or trillion-dollar companies have egos, okay? They don't like memes. They don't like jokes that make fun of them. This, unironically, probably is going to do more to like wake up Bethesda that they shouldn't implement this in the way that they announced it, that they should pull it back and go much lesser on it. This is going to do more for that than I think anything else, any canceled pre-orders or anything for Starfield on PS5. I think that this this is probably pissing off Todd. Sorry, Tanya. I think this probably does a lot more than anything else. The power of memes is unquestioned, okay? The power of memes is unquestioned. It's why YouTube removed the dislike button. Kinda, dude. Like, it's because these guys, like, they get butthurt over it. They don't like it. They don't like being made fun of because they honestly thought this would be revealed and people would be like shocked. And like, I mean, they were shocked, but that there would be all positive, no negative. You can see 61,000 people liked it. I don't know how many. I will say in my replies, there's a lot of bot replies. Like, I don't know if they're able to direct them to like go and respond to critical posts about AI, but like literally you can see they're filled with M dashes. They're all using like AI to write their responses. It's cringe as hell. But like, I don't know how many of these are botted likes or whatever, but a lot of people did like it nonetheless. But you can see the reactions, a full ratio from Synth Potato. This looks horrifically bad. Nobody wants AI slap filter on top of their games. 99K likes. Actual ratio. Shout out Synth Potato. Maddie replied, lol, we've reached the point of diminishing returns in game visuals where companies have convinced themselves that some freaky AI filter that slaps an artistic direction in the face is progress with or worth sharing. I can't read. I do not want AI filters on top of my game characters' faces. It looks terrible in my opinion. You deserve to be bullied for this. Delete this maybe. NVIDIA reading replies, I'm so effing scared. Dear God, this looks awful. Like, granted, my algorithm is not. It's funny. My algorithm is not the typical like fanboy for AI slop page, but like, fam, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, this is what it feels like. So I think that they will tone it back and they will reevaluate how they market this, because I think it's pretty clear that this is not at least what the hardcore gamers want. And guess what? Guess who's buying NVIDIA GPUs on the gaming side that will use DLSS 5? Guess who's using those? Hardcore gamers. And they pretty clearly do not like this. And bro, if you think that like, do you think a YouTuber that's using this in turn has it turned on? They're going to get bullied. They're going to get bullied to hell and back, dude. It's not going to go over well. It's just not. So I think they're going to tune it down. I don't think it'll look like this when it launches. It'll be tweaked, but I do think that this is the new frontier. They're going to continue doubling down. It's not like they were selling any GPUs right now anyways, because they're sold out everywhere and they're doing everything for the AI boom. So NVIDIA's just gonna be like, okay, suck it up. This is the new norm. Deal with it. and this is just where it's going to go. And if anybody thinks that this is not going to come to consoles in one way or another, they, like AMD already announced, they didn't show anything, but they did announce that they're exploring neural rendering as part of their pipeline for, I forget what the code name of it is, but for their next generation GPU architecture stuff. So for next gen consoles, they may have something like this on the AMD side. So don't think that like Team Red is magically free of this. They apparently are also working on very similar tech. They just haven't shown it yet. So we'll see. Pisser, yeah, Pisser Ultimate, Pisser Gold. A more concentrated form of Pisser, yes. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but yeah, there you go. So the Fallout continues. I understand. Just to answer the quick and like most common AI bro counters, it's not touching the geometry. Okay, it still looks like an AI slop filter, even if it's not technically an AI slop filter. It looks like an AI slop filter, which is all that really matters. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you're getting there. If the result, which is all the consumer really cares about, if the result is that it looks bad and sucks, that's all anybody's gonna care about, because that's the end result that they see. It's not touching the geometry apparently, but because it's completely altering how the light interacts with all materials in the shot and in the scene, it looks totally different. And that's why you end up, when it sees a face, it's really good at changing the face into something that looks photorealistic, but it doesn't know how the hell to make the background and environments of Starfield look photorealistic. As you can tell, it's like, I don't know. Like, it has no idea. So as a result, you get this like uncanny photoshopped face slapped over top of clearly a video game environment. And it's just uncanny and weird, and it feels weird. And then even then, she's still going to talk like she does in Starfield. The animation quality is the same. So it's a photorealistic face talking like that. It's weird. It's just weird. It's a preview. It's a preview they chose to show, my friend. It's a preview they chose to show. It's the same mentality when it's like, you're being judgy. They literally put it out there for you to judge. What are you talking about? You're like on your knees. Behold the multi-trillion-dollar company NVIDIA guzzling it down, being like, please, sir, may I have some more? I can still see out of this eye. Like, chill out, bro. Chill out. It's so cringy. I'm just being real. Oh my God. Anyway. We will continue to follow it because it's going to continue. It's going to continue, and we will see more. But I do think that the memes are going to have an effect on this, and I do think that there's been some marketing pivots in the last 24 hours. We're like, okay, we might need to rethink how we're pitching this a little bit. Because the hardcore crew is not a fan, not big into this. So we'll see how it goes. But we probably don't see much until Summer Games Fest would be my guess. So June, when we'll probably see another wave of advertising and marketing for it. And then they probably go silent until, they said the fall it comes. So probably like September, October, sometime in there, they actually like officially launch it. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I'm on the toilet. Nice. Love to see that. Oh my God. I'm hardcore and I like it. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're hardcore and you like it. Do you like it hardcore? Oh, that's you sly dog. You sly dog. You dirty dog. Okay. Now you thought you were gonna escape the main thing. What? Oh, it's the same shot. Okay. That was breaking my brain. I was going between these two tabs. And I was like, what is happening? They're the same. But one is the deep dive that's 20 minutes long. The other is the trailer. They just use the same shot. I say. I see. Let me see if I can catch up on these real quick. Oh my God, you guys super chatted a lot. Thank you for that. Let me catch up on these real quick while I get through this. Let's see. I read that one. Yeah. Okay. I read that one. Okay. Shep, thank you for that one for the 5. I'm going to get killed for this, Luke, but I canceled my Crimson Desert pre-order. Just pre-ordered Starfield on my PS5 Pro with DLC 2 Semper Fi. I'm so sorry. People are about to make fun of you in chat. People are about to make fun of you. I'm sorry. You brought this on yourself, though. I can't stop them. It's beyond my control. It's beyond my control. I can't hold them back, okay? What's done is done. What's done is done. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Get out of here, man. Leave. Get out. Run.
At BopC55 donated £20 through Super Chat.
Hey,
They
yeah.
have already said DLSS 5 coming to Oblivion remake.
Yes.
Think of the hellspawn that's gonna generate.
Dude, I closed the tab already, but we just looked at the clip of it. If you didn't see it, because Digital Foundry in their preview showed clips of it running in the Oblivion remaster, and it's straight up cursed, bro. Like it's bad. They need to adjust it real quick. Gotta be trolling. Yeah, it might be. Uppercase. Thank you for the 10. What about natural vision for GTA? Minecraft with realistic water, but blocks everywhere. Skyrim with all the light, with all that change the visuals. This tech is awesome, and I really want to try it. I think again, the memes are not centered on environments or not settled on the lighting within a forest or an urban environment. It's specifically on faces. Like, our brains don't care that much about like, oh, this is ultra realistic lighting on a tree trunk. Like our brains don't care that much about that. Faces though, we're very sensitive to it. That's why when people saw, it's mainly that Grace shot and the Starfield shots. Like it's mainly these right here that have gone viral and been memed on because it's uncanny. It just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. And so that's why these are going viral. People aren't making fun of like the bookshelves in the background being lit more realistically. It's specifically the faces. That's what people are upset about. Like I really think if they had shown this off and it was just environments, there'd be no blowback at all. Like, I really think that. I think it's literally just the faces. Like that's what people are making fun of. Let's see. Tim L. Sim, thank you for the 10. So whenever we get to the point of renting a cloud gaming PC, because getting a gaming PC components are going to be too expensive, they're going to shove DLSS 5 down our throats, aren't they? Or, I mean, I'm sure it'll be enabled on whatever G, what do they call it? What is the name of the NVIDIA cloud streaming thing? I almost called it G Cloud. That's not right. NVIDIA, what is that called, bro? GeForce Now. Thank you. I'm like totally blinking. I was like, yeah, GeForce Now. I mean, the modern DLSS stuff is already enabled on that, so I'm sure when this launches, it'll be available on that as well. That is the ultimate vision. If they can get you to stop buying components and just rent it so they get recurrent revenue, that's the dream. I mean, Satya Nadella has already said that openly, that's the vision. That's where they think it's going. Hunter, thank you for that. Hey, Luke, did you check Mortismal's interview with Todd Howard? He just dropped it. It's very short. I did not check it out. I did not know he did an interview with Todd, but we may have to check that out. Very interesting. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. RPG veteran, Luke Field time. Yeah, we are going to look at Starfield. I told you guys yesterday, you're like, why aren't you streaming on Monday? I was like, because there's going to be stuff to talk about tomorrow. I had like heard rumblings and stuff. I was like, we're going to do tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We're going to get there. Rambling Entertained, thank you for the 10. Like I said, when Spencer got replaced, the devs will be used to train AI tools. The art direction will be replaced by this, just like upscalers replaced optimization and ray traced lighting. Ray tracing replaced like standard lighting. I mean, the ultimate vision is to just get the tools to increase efficiency. And if that means cutting devs out of the process, then that means saving
Bloody
money.
Anvil donated $20 through
Part of the
Super Chat.
vision.
Awaiting the Crimson Desert preload going live. I swear time is moving backwards.
It's
Laughing face.
It's literally the Cartman meme of him pacing in front of the GameStop waiting for the Wii. It's literally, I mean, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Yeah, that my review of Crimson Desert will go up tomorrow, so you will hear my thoughts. You will hear my thoughts. There are many. There are many. So buckle up, buckaroo. It's going to be a good one. Actually, while I'm reading through this, honest question. What do you guys think your final Metacritic prediction is for Crimson Desert? Put it in chats. I'm genuinely interested. I'm genuinely interested in what you think like the final Metacritic is. What time? It's in the afternoon. Ooh, there's a flood. I see a lot of 80s. A lot of 80s, 70s, 98. Come on now. That would be remarkable. I'll tell you what. I'll let those filter in so that we can see after the fact, and you can come back and see who got it right. We can do that. Wesley, thank you for that. What are the chances AMD copying NVIDIA and making their own FSR 5.0? They already said that they're looking into neural rendering techniques with the next gen thing. So they've already said they're going to. They just haven't shown it. But I'm sure after seeing how this was received, they're going to tweak how they pitch it. Yeah. Vitanese, thank you for that super chat. I won't what Threat, or maybe I wonder what Threat Interactive will say about DLSS 5. I'm sure there will be an impassioned speech. I'm sure there will be great wailing and gnashing of teeth. As one would expect. Yes, I'm sure that video is going to be
the Ken Man of Bomb donated $50 through Super Chat.
Jeez, thank you.
Thank you for your honest opinion. I enjoy your take on current gaming events, and I honestly feel the same.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you. That's very, very generous. My goodness. My goodness. Thank you. That's very generous. Pogs in the chat. Garrett, thank you for that. 10. Last stream, I asked about a monitor for my Series X for an Acer Nitro, and I was going to ask you, do you think playing on balance for Crimson Desert will be good, or should I do the 1080p 60? I've not tried it on console, so I don't frankly know. As a gamer, I tend to prefer frame rate over resolution. I just like higher frame rates, but everybody's different. You may prefer the balance mode because it targets like 40 FPS roughly, is my understanding. So it's up to you. My general preference personally is higher frame rate though. That's generally what I do, but there's no right or wrong answer. You know, it's just whatever you prefer. Daddy, thank you for the 5. Daddy, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, how are you doing? On a lighter note, we all know you are playing Crimson Desert. Blink twice if you've played over 60 hours. Did he blink 3 times? 4 times? Who can say? I don't know. When's the cutoff? I don't know. When did we start counting and when did we stop counting? Soon enough, my friends. Soon enough. Soon enough, my friends. Okay, where did I leave? Sierra, thank you for that. Krafton got their butts handed to them with a breach of contract suit from the Subnautica creators they fired. Also, the ChatGPT rumors were true. Yeah, that they were using ChatGPT in like regular use. That whole thing has stunk from the moment it happened, where it really started to look like Krafton was literally firing them to get away from having to pay them all that money. And it like, you can't do that. Shocker, you can't. So I'm glad to see that the court is not seemingly tolerating it and is not gonna let them get away with it, it seems, allegedly. According to the court. Silver Lightning, thank you for the 23 months. Back from GDC, Xbox is interested in our game. Hells yeah, my friend. Hells yeah, that's awesome. Glad to hear it. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. Glad to hear it. Shathak, I think, thank you for the 5. In all the DLSS 5, the fog in the background is gone like in RE9. I would have to double check the fog because I don't remember seeing it, but maybe that's exactly the point. Your point is that it trimmed it out. Uppercase, thank you for the 5. DLSS 5 looks so good. It's literally doing what I want. Why are you guys crapping on it so bad? I'm day one for this all day. I think as with all techs or technological advancements or all rendering techniques or whatever, it's important to have feedback and let people know what you think. There's a few different camps with it right now. There are some that are just saying, looks like crap, don't use anything AI related in my games whatsoever, which is like the extreme end on one side. Other people are saying it looks amazing, make everything photorealistic and everything, can't wait to put this in Minecraft, Where I'm at is like, clearly there's potential with the tech. Clearly this is going to be usable in a way that does make games look and run better. Like clearly, like that's not, I'm not debating that, of course. But what also seems to be the case is that its application is really inconsistent from dev to dev, which is partly the point, is that devs can tweak it and implement it the way they want. Which is why feedback's important. Like if Bethesda thinks that they can slap this on Elder Scrolls 6 and be like, see, we have the best graphics in the biz. Honey, you got another thing coming. Because you can't do that and still have crappy animation and expect it to look good or feel good. So we provide feedback and we be honest. In 5 years, it probably looks and runs way, way better and is actually like world changing, an actual breakthrough. In 5 years, I'm sure it's there. Today, she ugly. So I'm going to tell you when I think it looks bad, but that means I'm also going to tell you when I think it looks good. And when I think it looks good, that will mean a lot more than the AI hype bros that said it looked amazing when Will Smith was trying to eat spaghetti with a fork spoon with 7 eyes coming out of his forehead, We can appreciate the technological marvel of what they've been able to achieve. I just think this iteration of it needs work. And that's what we're phrasing. That's what we're explaining. Let me see. Eric, thank you for that. I have a question. If the people are refusing this feature to protect the artistic vision, wouldn't that logic mean mods and reshade are bad too? It's exactly the same concept, right? I think the idea that like reshade can alter the artistic vision of a game is totally, any sort of visual mod is going to alter it. If you put Thomas the Tank Engine in Resident Evil 9 and replace monsters with Shrek, clearly that was not part of the original vision. Okay, that's clearly like a separate thing. But when we're talking about implementing this into like the actual rendering pipeline, I feel like that's on a different thing. Like it would be like if they were to implement the reshade mod officially into the game as an official update, that would be, now it's official, now it's locked in, now it's real. In this case, yes, my understanding is that the studio can, of course, like they don't have to support DLSS 5 if they don't want to. But if you think that saying no to NVIDIA is easy for these companies, it's not. NVIDIA is kind of the big boss right now for all of these companies. For anybody like a Microsoft, they need to stay friendly with NVIDIA. Like they can't be disputing over this stuff. So all Microsoft's Xbox projects coming to PC, they're all going to support this because they need to have a good relationship with NVIDIA. Like it's just a different thing when you go to like the big scale of multi-billion or trillion-dollar companies, So it's just on a separate level. And let's be perfectly honest, the people that are most excited about this, that are pushing it out, they had people like I believe it was the COO of Capcom. They had Todd Howard. They had Charlie Guillemot. They had like those people talking about DLSS 5 and how this AI tool was going to revolutionize their games. It wasn't like the individual graphics programmer. It wasn't the individual environmental artists and stuff, lighting designers at the studios. It's the executives. Because of course, this represents for them a means of saving a lot of money. A lot of money. And it's important not to forget that, because that is a component of this. Shake and Bake, thank you for the 2. Losers raging against tech progression. Sad. I agree. Anyway, Shake and Bake, thank you also for the 2. So it makes games better and you're crying. Thank you for the money. Ranger, Thank you for the 32 times the detail. You're damn right. Afterthought, thank you for the 10. The absence of Cyberpunk speaks volumes. IMO, it's been NVIDIA, testbed, and CDPR loves to push graphics. I do think it is interesting that they were not there. I do think that's interesting. Let's see. Ralph Stonelli, thank you for the 5. Am I crazy for not wanting photorealistic graphics? I want good art design, and that's been proven the photorealistic graphics age horribly anyways. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, a lot of people don't like photorealism. They like strong art directions. And I think, again, if a lot of these people that think it looks badass and awesome, if they were to see it in an extended like 20-minute gameplay clip with like actual like cutscenes and actual gameplay, they may be like, ooh, yeah, this is weird. Because again, your brain does not like it when there's something photorealistic that's not moving in a realistic way. Like, you may not realize just how sensitive you are to like the smallest little movements and tweaks. Your brain will tune it out when it's a video game and it's clearly not real. But when you go and put it through a photorealism pass like DLSS 5 is doing, it just hits your brain weird. Some people obviously are more sensitive to it than others, but man, like, there's a reason they only showed 30 seconds max of each of these things. There's a reason. Let's see. Mike, thank you for the 5. Isn't this just a tool for devs to use? Sure, it's not great now, but it will improve. Why are people so mad? Will Smith spaghetti situation. Sure. But I think just like Will Smith's spaghetti situation, we saw that and we're like, this looks bad. And then it got better. But I'm not going to tell you it looks good when it doesn't look good. Okay, that's my point. Okay, in 5 years, I'm sure it'll look great and it'll run great and be like really, really impressive. What we see right now is the Will Smith spaghetti situation, in my opinion. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't ready. Okay, this ain't ready. Okay, it needs some work. And I'm sure that this feedback that they're receiving is going to cause them to go back, tweak it, change it before it launches in the fall. They're getting the feedback they wanted. Oh, probably not the feedback they wanted. They're getting the feedback they needed to make it better. We're just not going to glaze it when it doesn't deserve glazing right now. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Bass player, thank you for the 5. Of course, they're going to say it looks better. They are paid to say that. Do you mean the studios? The studios? There are marketing relationships with some of these studios. Like if NVIDIA wants to partner, I don't know this for a fact, but it makes a lot of sense. Like if NVIDIA wants to use Cyberpunk 2077 as the marketing thing for ray tracing, as they did for years, there is a business relationship there. Whether it's just with labor, where like NVIDIA engineers are helping CDPR engineers optimize and get overdrive path tracing working, that may be one aspect. That's still effectively a business partnership. Or if there was actually money changing hands where NVIDIA is paying them X number of millions to use it as their marketing kind of canvas, I guess. I think either way, there's millions of dollars of value being exchanged. But with this stuff, I wouldn't be surprised at all if, you know, there's a deal now between NVIDIA and Capcom for promoting DLSS 5 using RE Engine and their projects. I think absolutely that's the case. Let's see. Hazimov, thank you for that. Such technology would certainly lead to complacency and cutting corners and consequently laying off even more technical artists. I mean, it literally, in the case of like Starfield, we saw it where like all of a sudden, oh, well, why do we need to bother figuring out how to render faces more realistically when this can just do it for us? It'll just go over the waxy skin and fix it, you know? And that mentality is going to continue, because why would they invest millions in overhauling that to make it look better without DLSS 5 when it can just do the fixing for them? It's the same exact thing that happened with DLSS, like in upscalers in general, being used as a crutch to avoid optimization. Because it's like, why bother polishing if we can just use the upscaler to hit 60 frames, you know? Okay. Faraz, thank you for that. Look at the original Oblivion character Blink, not the DLSS one. It also has the blinking issue. I am a game designer and I am confused. How will this work in the editor while designing levels? Yeah, I'm not sure either. I think that exact point with the blinking glitch in the Oblivion remaster, that is an indication that like the reason it looks extra upsetting when you put the photorealism stuff over top is because our brains even, again, they're like, oh, this looks right. That looks wrong. This looks right. This looks right. This looks wrong. It gives an immediate, much more profound ick than when you're playing a clear video game and you're like, it's a bug. It's whatever, you know? It's just increases your sensitivity to it. Mike, thank you for that. We're almost there, guys. Thank you for your patience. Main issue with this tech is that it also needs photoreal animation, particles, physics, etc. to match before it will actually feel good to play. That's what I think. I saw one of the devs who had previously worked at, I think, Rockstar, posted something about that where he's like, yeah, there's a reason why most studios are not trying to just push photorealism all the time, every time. Because it just doesn't work. Let me see if I can find it. Did I bookmark it? It might not have been this one's cursed as well. I'm sorry. Can't wait for the next Lego game. Yeah, that's also cursed. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Oh my god, I can't find it. But anyway, yeah, I think you're right that you do need like photorealistic graphics or photorealistic animation. Everything else needs to follow suit. Otherwise, it feels really, really off. Hello, thank you for the 5. AI filters are not going to fix poor art direction or poor dev quality. You put this on Expedition 33. It clearly won't work as it's being presented. Well, and hopefully, you know, the implementation could be tweaked specifically for that. But again, that's why I find it interesting that they're framing it as DLSS 5, not as a feature of DLSS 5. Like, this is the thing. This is what it does. It's not like frame generation. It's not like NVIDIA Boost or something that you toggle on specifically. It's, if you want DLSS 5, this is what DLSS 5 does. This is it, you know, which implies that that will be the standard for DLSS 6 that builds upon it even more. So they're like, this is where they're going. This is the highway they're hopping on. You know, you're either all in or you're all out if you want also the other improvements you're going to get with DLSS 5, I'm sure as well. I forgot your TTS at the start of stream. Oh no, Mr. Rave, did I miss it? That's too bad. You don't have to send another one. Just let me know in chat what you said and I can read that. I'm sorry if I missed it. Over on Twitch, thank you, Steve, for the sub. I didn't realize until after I took time off, but CD comes out at 5 p.m. in my time zone on Thursday, but I had taken Wednesday and Thursday off. Thankfully, my boss let me switch to taking Thursday and Friday off. Yes, in case anybody's not familiar, the release time of Crimson Desert is in the afternoon. It's not in the morning. So just be aware of that. In case you haven't checked what time it unlocks in your time zone, double check because it's probably not when you thought. Which is important to know. Gibbs, thank you for that. Just watched your 9-year-old video reviewing AC Movie. What a throwback, dude. That's crazy. I don't think I'd be able to get through it. I think I'd die of cringe. Kodiak TV, thank you for that one. So I think Gooners on a certain mod site will find this useful. Oh, bro, can you imagine this over top of some of those, like, put them in a bikini mods? You remember the one from Stellar Blade that replaced all of the characters' hands with feet? It was like, actually go to a church. Go talk to Jesus. If you guys missed that, we found a mod on Nexus that replaced all characters' hands in Stellar Blade with feet. It was bad. It was like, bro, go find Jesus. Like, it was bad. Those guys are gonna go mad for this, I'll tell you what. Yeah, yep. Jesus. I'm never gonna be able to forget about that. Siberius, thank you for the sub over on Twitch as well. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Let me see. You said you were wondering, Mr. Rave said, just wondering if we were going to watch the DF video about Crimson Desert high-end PC about ray tracing and RR featuring Alex from DF. We might be able to. I was looking at it. The tricky thing is, like, looking at the console stuff. I can talk about that. I'm not reviewing it on console, so I'm not like in danger. It's all new information to me. But with like PC, I've played it on PC many times. And so it gets me in a weird spot, you know? So we might be able to look at it after launch or after my review embargo lifts, but it puts me in a weird spot with like embargo timings, you know? Yeah. Sam Mike Mac, thank you for that. Hi, Luke. What are your thoughts on Crimson Desert based PS5 footage? I can't tell what the graphics will be like due to the live stream and YouTube compression. Yeah, we'll look at that in just a little bit. I agree. It's also kind of hard to decipher, but you are able to still see whether there's like massive problems, and it doesn't appear like there are any. Jump scare. There you go. Got you. The best way to jump scare someone is to tell them they're about to get jump scared. That's the key. That's the key. Peyton, thank you for the 2. Blink fast 3 times if Crimson Desert is amazing. Did he already do it? Did he not? I don't know. The world will never know. The world will never know. Thank you, Luke, for the 10. I do think the environments look okay, but they need to stay away from the faces with this stuff. Honestly, the whole thing feels dystopian, though. Yeah, I think as with a lot of new techs, they get it. They overreach, they'll pull back, and then they'll eventually get back to where they were. It's just not quite there yet. Using a unified model also concerns me, just because I think it is going to make every game kind of look, have their characters look kind of the same, you know? Which maybe is exactly what people want, but I don't know. I think the reaction shows, at the very least, there's debate over it. King Cole, thank you for the 10. Executives, we spent $200 million on this. Why doesn't anyone like it? Fan base, this activates natural survival instincts I didn't know I had. Kill it with fire. I mean, literally, I think that's what's happening. Some people are not sensitive to it and they're more in tune with it. As you can see, like some people can watch AI slop videos and they're totally unbothered by it. In my brain, it's like actively uncomfortable. Like it makes me get the ick. Like I don't want it. It's like, yeah, swipe. Like, I don't like it, you know, but other people clearly have a higher tolerance for it. I would argue back in ancient times when we're swinging from trees, we probably, you know, that would have been selected for, but nowadays there's no selection pressure for that. If you think AI slop is great, maybe you're even more likely to survive because you'll stay inside more. Who knows? Okay, we're almost there, guys. The Gina Gaming, I'm sorry. Thank you for the 5. Can't wait to see the grunts with beauty filter in place with the new Halo campaign evolve or combat evolve. That actually would be really funny. I kind of hope that there's a mod for that. That would be freaking hilarious. Let's see. Did I go past it? I think I scrolled too far. Oh God. Oh God. Did I scroll too far? What happened? What happened? Oh, there it is. Okay. Stop it, Luke. You're a big voice. There are some of us that really want this and don't see it the way you do. No. I would like to think you come here because you want to know what I think. I will not change what I think just because it's what like people want me to say. Like I'm gonna say what I think, okay? I'm gonna say what I think, and hopefully you can respect that. We're free to disagree, you know. We're free to disagree. That's fine. You know, that's fine. Somebody commented on one of our recent videos when I didn't have my glasses on and said I look like an AI generated Clark Kent, but worse. That's fine. Okay. You can agree or disagree with that. That's fine. If I agree or disagree with something, you can make fun of me. Like if you ever disagree with one of my opinions, you can just be like, haha, but you like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Got me. That's fair. That's fair. But I'm going to say what I think. You know, I'm not going to like put a muzzle on because it's like, I need to get out of the way of progress. Oh no, I might hurt the multi-trillion-dollar company's feelings. I can't have that. Jensen needs me as an ally. Like, I don't know. He's gonna be fine. Shocker. He's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. So I'll say what I think. I don't want your opinion. I want my opinion out of your mouth. Yeah, see, that maybe is more what people want. Luke Smith, thank you for the 5. The 35 and up crowd loves their AI garbage. Dude, I would love to see if there's like been research on why older generations have a higher tolerance for it. You know, is it just because we grew up on the internet and like we're more in tune with it when we're younger that we can detect it better? Like, what is it? Because you're right. As you get older, like their AI detection meter is way off. You'll see somebody like your grandparents share something on Facebook and it's like the most AI thing you've ever seen. It's like, look at this city. It's an entire city the size of New York City in China and it's made out of ice cream. You're like, Grandma, no. Like, it's shocking, but they actually believe it. It's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's probably an actual like scientific explanation. I would love to know it. Shivai, thank you for the 5. 2 types of people: those who can extrapolate and those who are continuing to tell you it's a preview. Yeah, I mean, I do think there are people that legitimately think it looks badass. Cool. There's people that are willing to overlook shortcomings today because they're like, yeah, in the long term, it's going to be great. Okay, that's fine. My point has just been that what we saw in the preview yesterday, the demonstration yesterday, I think is bad. If that came to my games today, I would be upset and I wouldn't like it and I wouldn't use it. And so I'm vocalizing that and telling NVIDIA what I think, as are many other people. And they'll take the feedback or not take the feedback and move from there. But I'm not gonna pretend like I don't think what I think, because it's like in 5 years it might be better. Okay. Just like with the Will Smith spaghetti video, when that first dropped, it looked bad. Now it can generate Will Smith eating anything. Anything. And it'll look real. But back when it first dropped, it did not look real. So if you are ever invited to a BGS event, you have to make a t-shirt, put that photo of Tanya on its front and wear it to the event. Dude, there's no way they're ever inviting me to anything. There is no shot, fam. There is no shot. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it. I am genuinely like intrigued by it. I'm curious to see how what they've done, because I've not watched it. I've not watched any of this morning. So I don't know what we're into, or in for rather. I know what we're into, Todd. But I don't know what we're in for. So I'm genuinely interested. But it's pretty clear that Bethesda's taken an approach where they want to get close to people they consider to be friendly allies, and they don't want to deal with people they consider to be critics, or people overly critical or excessively critical or comically critical. They don't want people who have cardboard cutouts of Todd Howard. You know, they don't want people who have candles and sort of made a religion about Todd Howard. Bunch of squares. They don't want people who start their streams with prayers written in Latin, themed around the Vulgate, praising the head of their company as a patron saint of a fake religion. Churlish, frankly. Understandable, honestly. Yeah, that's why I'm like, anybody who's like somebody that went to the event texted me and was like, yeah, man, sorry you didn't get to come. It was cool. And I was like, bro, don't feel sorry. I made my bed, 15 other beds. I made a whole factory of beds, and I am laying in them and sleeping just fine. Okay, we have way more fun than anybody else talking about Bethesda stuff, and having we're just having a great time. We're having a great time, okay? I wouldn't trade it for nothing. And if they don't want to have fun with us, that's fine. But you better believe, if I ever did go to BGS Meet Todd, I would bring him a candle. I would bring him a candle. Sure would. Where's the lighter? Where's the lighter, Todd? Tanya. I feel like I need to, for the next candle, I need to print it out with Tanya. Because this is just patron Saint Todd. But maybe I'll do the Tanya face over top for the next one. We could do that. That would be funny. That would be funny. Todd be with you and also with you. May his details shine upon you. May it be 16 times what you expect. May it fill your pixels with extra detail. May all of it just work and bring you bugs. Amen. Amen. Okay. I read that one. Okay. Kane, thank you for the 10. Feels like I just came into a Burt Peanut stream. Naughty Luke. Oh, you're damn right. Sexy Killjoy, thank you for the 10. Serious question. Did you stop doing long critiques? The Baldur's Gate 3 long form critique never came, and just wondering why it was shelved. Baldur's Gate 3 specifically was so freaking massive, it became very, very clear that we would need to basically work on it for 6 months and do nothing else to be able to like do it justice. And I didn't feel like half-assing it because the game is so freaking good. We do still do critiques. We just did one late last year for Mafia: The Old Country. But as with any sort of big project, it just has to be one where I feel like I need to talk about this. I need to verbalize it. And so we still do them. It's just, fewer and farther between. We, of course, did when we did the Starfield one, that was like 8 freaking hours long. To put it very bluntly, like they lose a lot of money. They lose a lot of money. We spend a lot of time, a lot of effort. Jacob spends a lot of time editing them. It's a lot of work, and they are not at all profitable. So it's a labor of love. So we have to be more precise. And now with like 3 full-time employees, I have to be cautious and responsible to not just do the things that lose money. Otherwise, people don't get their salaries. So, we're picking precisely when we tackle it. But I have a feeling this year there should at least be a couple of things for us to tackle in a big way. So, yeah. Dune 3 trailer. Whoa, I would watch it, but it's gonna get copyright claimed. Let's be perfectly honest. So I can't do that. Awaiting the Crimson Desert preload going live. Oh yeah, I did read that one. I did try GeForce Now GDC. It had 90 FPS on almost everything. GeForce Now is actually really, really good. It's better than xCloud or any of the other ones I've ever tried. Unjack, thank you for the 2. Not gaming related, but did you see the Dune 3 trailer? Not yet, but I would watch it on stream, but it's gonna get claimed. If only this were Twitch and they didn't care. V20s, thank you for that 10. Luke, you're too negative about AI. You're afraid they're going to replace you with AI modeled presenter and that we will like him more because he won't eat candles. How dare you? I don't eat candles. There is a conspiracy theory that may or may not have a ton of evidence that I drink candles. But I don't eat candles. I would never. I mean, I don't drink trailers either, or candles either, but. Praise be the candle drinker. How dare you? Thank you, Sir Alwyn. Glad to have you. Just remember, as you can see behind me, yes, we candle. Yes, we candle. The shirts are available. The shirts are available in the merch store if you want a Yes We Candle shirt. Whenever you doubt yourself, whenever you're wondering, Yes We Candle. I can't do it. I can't. Yes, you candle. Just remember. Okay, I'm gonna get through 3 more, and then we're just gonna go into Starfield, and then I'll catch up on the rest after the fact. Okay, fair. Okay, Garrett, thank you for the 5. Also been waiting for Crimson Desert for a year and started watching your videos a month ago. I promise I keep watching. I will keep watching even after release. Much love. I'm glad to just have you here, even if it's for just a little while. I'm glad to have you here. Much love. And yeah, dude, Jacob told me we first started talking about Crimson Desert. I believe our first video on it was August of 2023. So I've been here since the start, since the very not technically the start, because the start was like 2019 or something, but I've been here since very, very early on. Well before it popped off. Okay, so like we've been following this game for ages. It's crazy to already like almost be here. Gen 3 trailer came out. It looks unreal. Glad to hear it. Well, I'll check it out after the stream for sure. Scrolls the second. Scrolls II. Yeah, okay. Scrolls 2. Thank you for the 10 new Elder Scrolls 6 update. Seems to have forgotten the update. Not sure if you watched already. I did not, but I do have that pulled up. Are you talking about this IGN video? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay, let's do this. Let me heart that message so I know where to start from with this after we get through it. Okay, let's rock and roll. New segment. Todd is in our hearts, always with us, teaching us of his glory. He'll take us to the stars. We'll fly high above, and then we'll die. It's happened, friends. It's happened, friends. It's happened. Starfield! It's received an update, or it's about to receive an update, technically. They just revealed it. They just announced it. We have an announcement trailer. We have a deep dive. We have an interview from Todd Howard talking about stuff. We're going to talk about it. We've lit our candles fresh, ready for... I was not going to say drinking. I was going to say smelling. Because... that's what you do with candles, Luke. You smell them. You don't drink them, Luke. Come on. So we're going to get through this. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be good. I've not watched any of this, so I genuinely don't know what we're dealing with. Of course, we followed the leaks. We followed the speculation for a long time, but I've not seen any of this. I don't know. Where's the cutout? Good question. Good question. We need the cutout. Todd! There you are, Todd. Come on. You're not getting out of this that easy. Oh my God. Okay. Oh boy. He's gonna need a repair. Oh, I'm sorry, Todd. Okay. Don't move or it may upset him. Okay. Oh shit, he killed Todd. I need to reinforce his back. I've blown out his back by bringing him on stream so much. And so now he bends too much. He's too wiggly. Anybody who's wondering, Luke, there was a preview event for this Starfield update. You didn't go? Why? I think I might know why. I think I might have a sneaking suspicion as to why they felt uncomfortable bringing me into their workplace. Let's continue. Let's get into this. This is the announcement trailer. Let's see what they've got. I'm going to mute notifications for super chats and stuff while we go through this. Appreciate you guys giving me money, of course, but sometimes you guys are too generous. So I'm going to mute that so we can just get through this, okay? Much love. Stop giving me money. Thank you. Todd, what have you done?
Among the stars, humanity can seem insignificant. Our achievements can be dwarfed by the vastness of space itself.
Dwarf.
But the galaxy is at our fingertips. We must enjoy the ride.
Ride me, Todd. That wasn't what I meant. Good song choice.
Do not attempt contact
We're gonna get
with
copyright
us.
struck, aren't we?
You will not survive.
Shields up! Take him down!
This is gonna be fun!
A pilot is only as capable as their starship.
Good. Expanded ship customization. Love
A
that.
ship only as useful as its crew.
New rover. Okay.
Together, you will find your place in the galaxy. But beware. Others are claiming theirs.
Humans of the settled systems. You have forgotten who you are. We shall remind you. There is no use resisting. Destroying hostile.
I got the crash!
I was hoping it'd be aliens. They're just robots.
Annihilating. We are the Terran Armada. And none shall stand in our way.
Okay. Okay. What's pulse check in chat. Give me pulse check. How do you guys feel after seeing that? Okay. No aliens, just clankers. Yeah, a bunch of filthy wirebacks, if you ask me. It'll be easy role-playing killing them, I'll tell you what. Filthy robots. Love it. I'll try it. Meh, steady. Nothing. I'd play a free copy. Depressed. Oh, there's a lot of feelings going around. Let's see. Man, I lost interest in Starfield ages ago. Looks generic. Man, might try it. Can't wait for the hype. Let's see. Yeah, 6-7. Fair. Okay, so it seems like there's a few people who are like, I'd give it a shot. I'd try it. But a lot of people are like, you know, maybe not super thrilled. But let's see actual details. So for one, just to be clear, there is a new Trackers Alliance mission, which my understanding is this is all paid. So this is part of the paid mods program. When they reveal this, these are missions that you can buy. This is the same kind of thing that they did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. This isn't weird. This is cool. Where like it was a $7 quest, I think, and it was like it's free if you bought the first one. Okay, so if you bought into the Trackers Alliance, then they just update. Okay, I believe it wasn't the Trackers Alliance. There was another mission where it was like $7 and it gave me that sniper rifle that was broken for like 6 months and you couldn't reload it. You know, but anyway, let's see the deep dive. I just misread this as Deep Diva. I might need new glasses. Todd, what a diva. Let's see the deep dive. Let's see what they had to say about it. There's suggestive
Among the
themes.
stars, humanity can seem insignificant.
Only about 3,500 people are playing Starfield right now. Well, we have across YouTube and Twitch, we have like 3,700 people watching. So you're telling me there's more people watching me right now than playing Starfield across the entire planet on Steam? Granted, it's an Xbox Game Pass game, so there's probably a lot more on Game Pass, but that's weird. That's crazy. I'm not going to think about that. That makes me upset. That makes me uncomfortable.
Can be dwarfed by the vastness of space itself. But the galaxy is at our fingertips.
Tip me, Todd.
We must enjoy the ride.
Free lanes. Is this just the trailer again? Yeah, it's just the trailer and then they lead into it. Okay, let me just skip ahead.
With new, uncharted territory.
Okay.
And that's what we're exploring.
Hey guys, it's Emil. Emil after Luke makes another video talking about his writing. Sorry, not sorry.
With you today.
So it's been a while since we've done one of these. Right? When we release a game, that's the starting point, but we are fully committed to supporting our games after release.
I think when you look back over, you know, the dozen or so updates that we've done up until this point, we did the standalone location story-based DLC in Shattered Space, a lot of quality of life updates.
We added creations, we've added the Rev 8.
We've added a ton since launch.
Hold on. I want to look at specifically what they've added. So, some of these I think were legitimately good additions. So I want to be clear with this, okay? As we go into this, I want to be clear. My stance when the game launched was that the game was meh. I was like, there's a lot of things that are really cool about Starfield. There's also a lot of shortcomings, specifically like the repeated content. I think that it lost a lot of the soul and spark that made Fallout and Skyrim and Oblivion work, and that was mainly lost through the procedural stuff, going for scale instead of quality, you know. An ocean a mile wide but an inch thick is the old saying. So when they went in and they added some updates, some of them did significantly improve the game. For example, they added performance mode that allowed you to play at higher frame rates on console. I believe at launch it was, no, Todd, no, he fell over. He's sad. I didn't find it more impressive. At launch, I believe they only had 30 FPS supported across the board, which is kind of crazy to think of doing that even today. But even back then, it was a bit of a scandal. But they did add that. They did other things like the Trackers Alliance. They did a lot of creation, so paid mods. Don't get it twisted what that is. FOV slider, ammunition, crafting, performance improvements. Eat button for food. I just heard eat butt. I got something on the mind, dude. I need help. Display settings, lighting improvements, DLSS support, expanded creation support. Aren't these the same thing? Creations and expanded creation support. Isn't that the same thing? But okay. Photo mode, poses. Okay. Like some of these are nice to have. FSR3 support. That's cool. Surface maps. This one's huge. This one's actually huge. They didn't have maps at launch, which we forget. But they didn't have maps, which is crazy. It's actually crazy. But they didn't have that. Escape room creation. So like, again, three of these are the same thing. Okay. Same with this at Hell's Gate. So 4 of them are basically the same thing. It's a little funny. Oh, achievement friendly creation. So 5 of them are the same thing. I'm sorry. It's funny. It's funny. But don't get it twisted. They did add some stuff that was legitimately good, such as the Rev 8, the actual vehicle. That was good. They just need more planets and surfaces that can take advantage of it and don't feel like they were designed exclusively for running. But overall, they did add a lot. They did make it better. Is it still, I would still consider it to be meh, but it is better, okay? So people who are like, it's a terrible game. I actually disagree with that. I know that might be surprising to some people. I don't think it's a terrible or even bad game. I just find it meh. It's one of those games kind of like AC Valhalla, where if you are okay playing it for 20 hours and the moment it starts to feel repetitive and boring, you stop. You can actually have a good time with it. I know that's shocking because again, I don't love Valhalla, but it's because I forced myself to play through the entire thing. So after like 100 hours or 150 hours, I was like so burnt out on it. But if you get to the point where you start to feel that way and then you stop, you can actually have a good time. For this, it's kind of similar, I think. You know, when you start to feel that burnout creeping up, just stop. And then you can have a good time. And through Game Pass, it works. Don't you mean Valhalla? You're right. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I gotta fix all my soundboard stuff. After I updated it, it lost all of them. I have to re-record them. But anyway, we'll continue. Yeah, the idea that there's an eat button for food, that's a big accomplishment. That is also kind of low-key hilarious. Anyway, continuing. Free Lanes update.
You know, Starfield fans wonder what's coming next. We've been busy working hard on the next set of content. So we're excited to announce the Free Lanes update and the Terran Armada story DLC.
Player feedback really guided how we brought Free Lanes to life.
Good.
And it's the biggest update since launch.
Good.
There's a lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah, we're adding tons of new POIs, locations discovered, another vehicle, tons of new spacesuits, weapons to find.
We know what the fans want, and we know what we want, and so now it's time to deliver on that.
Question. The new weapons you've added, do they reload? Because I bought a quest and I got a gun and it didn't reload for like 6 months until a patch came. Can't answer that. Not yet. Okay. It's fine. I'll just wait.
So today we're inviting players to strap in and join us as we play through our
Todd, strap on. Sorry, strap in.
favorite features coming to Starfield.
This is why I wasn't invited. This is why. Yep, right here. Yep. Okay, I want to actually know about this. What's Free Lanes?
Interplanetary exploration is what Free Lanes is all about. It brings more to discover, giving players all new experiences.
It's like an actual Death Destroyer.
Basically a cruise
Star
mode
Destroyer, Death Destroyer. Oh my God, Star Destroyer.
we're adding that ramps up to speed to light years, and you just, zoom between planets.
Really a core fundamental part of any space sim or space fantasy is being on your ship and flying from location to location.
Let's get out there and do something new today.
If we can travel to these places, what is the player doing? We can get up, we can walk around our ship. You can do anything you could normally do. You can come over and talk to my crew members.
I wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to work with you.
You can decorate.
Yeah, people are gonna love this.
So what just happened there? Was that an interdiction?
Yeah, that's an interdiction alarm. A unique type of encounter that can interrupt cruise mode. I gotta get back to the helm and see what it is.
Think you can win this?
There are non-combat situations, there are kind of scary situations.
Some it'll just be the wreckage of a ship. I don't know what that is, but let's go check it out.
You know, really looking at the vast breadth of science fiction and space sims and what you can do.
With any luck, the cargo they have on board will make this worth it.
With Free Lanes.
Okay, so initial impressions, that's good. It's something I wish they had at launch. I think that level of immersion is important. And maybe it's one of those things where I think that honestly what happened for them when they were building Starfield is that they just got in the zone with what they were building, that they thought, like, is this really, like, if people's main takeaway is that this is the shortcoming that defines their experience, we didn't do a good enough job elsewhere. So for example, if having to sit through a load screen that's 3 seconds long to go from this planet in the solar system to this planet in the solar system, if that makes their experience bad, we failed everywhere else. So it's not that big of a deal. Let's focus on the other stuff. The problem was the other stuff wasn't that great, and you had to sit through so many load screens for every piece of the game, broken up into every single little bit, that it was super disjointed. I was like, disjunctive? That's not a word. Disjointed, and so it added up in a way I don't think they realized, because they were so close to it, that they lost sight of the forest because they were focused on one tree,
We added X-Tech, and it's sort of this mysterious new resource that visually it has similarities to some of the Starborn architecture.
You can use it to enhance your ships, but also like your weapons as well, right?
Yeah. You can go out and you can find X-Tech, and you have an opportunity to roll for a chance to get that legendary effect that you always wanted. I always like explosive. I'm gonna roll until I can pick explosive. So now we have this top tier Grendel that I could have found in the game, but that wasn't enough. So we added 2 new quality tiers above advanced. So we now have a superior weapon quality, and then we added exceptional on top of that. So for those higher level players, there's still more things out there for them to get.
Okay, some more endgame stuff. You go and you grind collecting the X-Tech resource, and then you can use that to do rolls to get higher tier like perks onto your weapons. Okay. A lot of games do their endgame stuff like that. You know, where like Monster Hunter, you're grinding out for gems, you know, like a lot of games do endgame content in a very grindy way like that. Obviously, if you put in 200 hours into Starfield, something like that, that's pretty grindy, you might put 400 hours in, you know? So I know obviously people are going to be like, oh, well, that's just more grind. It's kind of the point. And most games do that. So I'm not mad at that. Giving more like endgame players more stuff to do, I think is good.
These are specific effects to really customize your weapon from legendary to exotic. Reckless, for
Ooh, exotic. Tell me more.
example, magazine size is reduced to 1, but damage is increased, so it's great for sniper rifle. I mean, there's a couple that really sort of stand out. Let's take a look at them.
Barbaric. Attacks are faster and get more powerful with each successful hit. Movement speed is increased while in combat. Saboteur. Damaging robots has a chance to instantly kill them.
Space cowboy.
Yeah, right. Check this out. I'm a big fan of the Kismet. There's a 25% chance that your next magazine will be tripled, which when you're firing explosive rounds with a high rate of fire can be a lot of fun. We did add a fair amount of skins. There's always fun.
Yeah, the Constellation skin was very popular, so we decided to add it to a bunch of different weapons.
Then we have the Neon skin, which can appear on a number of weapons.
And we've also added ship modules that enhance your ship's abilities.
My favorite is probably the evasive stealth drive. When you boost, you'll also become stealthy. So what we added was a ship optimization terminal. It allows you to optimize shield systems, weapon systems, engine systems.
You didn't put us into a planet, so we must be in the right place.
Okay.
It's a lot of player expression, and I think X-Tech allow you to do that in a way that you couldn't really before.
Okay, so basically just a lot more endgame stuff to keep players engaged. Okay, I mean, it kind of makes sense. The whole vision of Starfield, just like with the other games they've done, is to try and get people to play it for a decade or two, honestly, with how long it takes them to make stuff. So if they can keep you hooked for longer, that means you're more likely to stay playing it over and over and over again. With Game Pass, the main metric they look for is hours played. That's how they gauge success on Game Pass, is how many hours you're putting into it. And Starfield has been a very successful game when it comes to that, to farming hours from players. So if they can give players more stuff to do to take them from 200 hours to 400, they consider that a win, because you're way more likely, I think, I don't know if their data specifically shows that, but it kind of passes my, at least my gut check. I would assume that players are more likely to spend money on things like paid mods and creations from hours 200 to 400 than they are from 1 to 200. Like, I think if you are in the point, or if you're in the group that has been playing the game since launch and you have hundreds of hours, you're probably more likely to be engaging with that secondary content than somebody that just started, So I think that that's also part of the strategy, is if they can just hook you to put more hours through Game Pass, that keeps Microsoft happy. And if they can get you to spend more money through paid mods, that also makes them happy, And that's something that's going to happen if you play the game more.
Let's talk about how we improved Outpost for players.
Yeah, we have this great new all-in-one module. Comes fully furnished. You could just plop it down on a shoreline, like here in Gagarin. Get a great view.
And you can still decorate it any way you want.
You can customize it. You go change everything up if you want.
But one of the more practical things that we added was a shared outpost container. This was a huge request. Like, if you build this at your outpost and you load it up and you build it at another outpost on a distant world, that you have access to that inventory.
And that's all shared between any place you build that container and any outpost anywhere. We added Colony War hero action figures.
Yeah, people are gonna love this.
This reminds me so much of the type of action figure playset that I had when I was a kid. They function as sort of like the collectible Vault Boys do in Fallout, where you find an action figure and it gives you a passive bonus.
For example, the medic makes sure you can heal quicker.
Yeah, there's sealed and unsealed versions of them too, so there's a way to display them as well.
Something unique.
Oh, what's that?
Who's that guy?
I will say, the actual gameplay buffs, I like that. The collectible thing, it doesn't really tickle my brain, but I do know I have one buddy who would probably put 500 hours into this to collect all of them. Like, there's some people where that is exactly the kind of things that they do. You know, like this is like, oh, like they love this kind of thing, you know, they love it.
That's the pet Miller whale.
It's like, you know, this peaceful little alien creature that is a pet.
You know, just cute things to have around, like to brighten your day.
It gets lonely out there in space.
We wanted to be able to quickly see where their outposts were. And that's a case where the database came up.
I mean, there are people who are going to love this because it's central location for everything.
You can look at what you have there, you can track it right from there and go get more of that if that's what I'm looking for.
So much easier to find the resources you need throughout the galaxy. It's huge quality of life upgrade.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, streamline the grind for resources, okay.
After you have all the artifacts, this mysterious prototype schematic will show up in the lodge. It allows you to build this quantum entanglement device, which now lets you take inventory items through the Unity.
When you go into the Unity, it is a sacrifice. But then there's the gameplay reality where I've spent hundreds of hours. I don't want to give up everything. So it's our way of recognizing that players might want to take some favorite items with them, and they can use their quantum essence to do that.
It's literally a loophole to make going through Unity a little less punishing.
Yeah. One of the things we added was now when you defeat a Starborn ship, it awards you quantum essence.
Engines fried. The target, I mean.
You can use that quantum essence to upgrade the capacity of your quantum entanglement device. So I'll go ahead and I'll increase the capacity a little. It explains that the maximum capacity is 200, which is a good size inventory. So there's a number of new weapons that we added. I'm going to keep that.
I take my favorite action figures through. That's what I wanted.
I can take my Astra through. You're always going to need Digipix. Let me just grab this real quick. Yeah, so I can take all that stuff through. That process of going through the Unity 10 times and going to all of the temples, that was a big lift. How do we encourage them to really play as Starborn? And it is the ability to upgrade these powers. Once you collect quantum essence, you can upgrade those powers. They can increase the regen rate. They can grav dash to close the distance between enemies.
Now I'm at this crazy power level that I could never achieve before.
Okay. So far, I am surprised though. I thought that they were going to reveal something to deal with load screens. And I guess the cruise mode sort of does that, but it's technically taking more time to get between planets. And it's just between planets, as far as I understand it. It's not between systems. So was that just not a thing? I don't know. The other stuff that they mentioned though, again, quality of life improvements for New Game Plus, especially subsequent like New Game 2 Plus, 3 Plus, when you want to bring more and more stuff with you through to the next one. That makes sense to me. Again, it's stuff that's trying to specifically act as a love letter to the diehard fans, to the people that are deep in their games, you know?
There's even more to Free Lanes that we haven't touched on yet. Anchor Point is a new star station, and it's where we kick off a lot of our new quests. There's a ton to discover here.
We have a brand new vehicle. It's called the Moon Jumper. It can boost for days. So you can almost fly this thing. And on a low gravity planet like this, get a lot of airtime.
So we do have a new companion.
So you see the Model G here, super cute. Watching him kneecap somebody, like as they just have a little tick of health left, just makes me laugh every time. He's not the only crew we added.
So Maria can join up with you and be part of your adventure with you.
I like to think I was part of a group, and I murdered all the other children in the womb.
So you've got new allies, but you've also got more challenging foes. New enemy traits will force you to rethink how you approach encounters. So this guy has a chance to avoid damage, and after he's killed, he puts nearby enemies into a state of rage. This was a way for us to make enemies more challenging.
I like that.
There were some other, I'll say, smaller things that we added. POIs on planet surfaces. We added photo mode vehicle poses for the Rev 8. And lots more stuff, including your new home away from home.
This is incredible. It seems simple, but this is incredibly exciting.
Players had millions of credits. What is there for them to buy?
The most extravagant thing in the game.
It's a mansion carved out of an asteroid. How cool is that?
The Terran Armada poses a grave threat to us all.
In this DLC, you'll face the Terrans, an advanced militant force with their own vision for the settled systems.
So the Terran Armada is a faction that left the settled systems during the Colony War.
The Terrans don't seem to be known for their survivors.
It is our sworn duty to uncover their plans and put a stop to it.
They had issues with both the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective. They consider themselves to be the true children of Earth.
The DLC is going to challenge players to rise up against a full-on armada. And part of your mission is to figure out what their motivation is and to stop them from attacking innocent worlds. They have these mechanized troops, which are a force to reckon with. But not all Terran bots are trying to kill you.
Yeah, so we do have a new companion. His name is Delta, and he is one of the Terran robots. He's not evil, but he is definitely not good.
Designation, friend, not accepted.
And they've got some ships that are really high-powered, incredible pieces of technology.
They've taken the Nova Galactic ships and have added new modules. We went for NASA Tactical, and they have their own weapons. We had got feedback from the community where it's like, oh, I wish we had more contemporary like machine guns, less sci-fi, more grounded, and that's what the Terrans are equipped with. And then these guns are highly modifiable, both ballistic and energy weapons. It's pretty terrifying when you're exploring the Terran ships in the dark. The vibe is kind of like a dimly lit, U-boat type of atmosphere. And then you hear a little alert going off, and you realize it's one of the robot pods opening up, and these robots will jump out, and they're deadly.
Yeah.
Within the Terran Armada storyline, there's also the incursion system.
There's a number of different objectives that you could have on any given incursion. Some move the story forward.
Exit immediately or risk fatal harm.
And some are out there just for the spoils of war, more X-Tech. The Terrans even have the tech to block grav jumping within a system. They've set up jamming sites called incursions, but with cruise mode, you can navigate to those sites and shut them down.
There's just so much game here when we look at the full breadth of all the new content.
We're excited for everyone to dive into Free Lanes and Terran Armada in April, but we wanted you to have something to play right now. So today, we're rolling out fresh Trackers Alliance content. We're adding 5 new targets, all with unique storylines. If you already purchased Trackers Alliance, this content is already included for you. And the complete Trackers Alliance series is available now in the Creations menu.
Okay. Buy some quests.
I think we're just excited as fans of Starfield to get this into our players' hands. We've had a blast with it, and we want to, share it with the world.
Before we sign off, we've got one final announcement. When Free Lanes and Terran Armada launch on April 7th, Starfield will officially arrive on PlayStation 5.
There you go. For 50. So the leaks were correct. So I guess I'm surprised again, I thought that they were doing something with load screens. There were leaks suggesting that that's what they were doing, and it seems like they're just not. So they have the cruise mode, but it seems like any of the leaks specifically about like them covering up the load screens with like a video playing over top, like Star Wars Outlaws did when you go from planet surface or planet orbit down to planet surface. That just wasn't the case. They just aren't doing that. That's interesting. So I guess those leaks were just wrong. They're not going to be able to do that. I mean, I was always telling people that like you can't get rid of the load screens. It's how the engine works. It's how Starfield like is built. You can cover them up was my understanding, because there's been mods that do that on PC. Mods will cover it up with like flashes of white light and stuff to make it more immersive, but apparently they're not doing anything like that, which is interesting. What's also interesting, and I think is worth bringing up, you notice who is not in this video? Jesus. They didn't pray even once. No. The fact that, again, they're framing this without Todd selling it, I think is significant, because, again, this was allegedly Todd's baby. Yeah, God's not there. Yeah. Just once. Can we do a Starfield update that brings glory to God? Yeah. I think that it's more an indication that there's been lots of reporting and lots of interviews with BGS devs that have pointed out that Todd does not want to be the one guy for BGS. He does not want it where if his name isn't on it, it doesn't sell. He doesn't want it so that the studio flops if he's not actively doing something with it. He wants the studio to build itself into something more than him. So these are guys behind Starfield, like art, story, and then he's been doing a lot of gameplay stuff. And so I think this is another indication that they want to push it so that they can have it become bigger than just Todd, which is fair. Todd's efforts now are being redirected to other things like the Fallout show. He's doing a lot of work apparently on Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls 6, of course. So I think Todd's largely moved on from Starfield, and now it's on these guys' shoulders to figure it out. Overall, after seeing all of this, I get what they mean. This very much is like a love letter to hardcore Starfield fans and endgame players. It's not really for people who are like, yeah, I'm not that into Starfield. This is not going to change your mind. Like most of the stuff that they're showing, you're not even going to engage with. Todd, calm down. There's people here. Most of the stuff that you're seeing, you're not even going to engage with until the end game, until you're like 100 hours in, because it's like, you know, the end game material, the X-Tech material is for end game re-rolls on legendary items. That's not something you're going to see early on. So if you're one of those players that fell off of it after 20 or 30 hours, you literally are not going to see 80% of this content, which I think is the point. This is a love letter to hardcore fans, which is fine. It's just important to understand what you're getting. If you're somebody that like, yeah, I didn't love it, or I'm not that interested, but now I might get it on PS5, just understand that it's still Starfield. It's just more better Starfield that is on PS5 now, you know? So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it does on PlayStation, and I'm also interested in how many things they broke with these updates as well, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I was expecting a tad. It's a substantial update for endgame players. For people that are not in the endgame or that didn't connect with Starfield, it really does not have a lot to change your mind. And I think that was an intentional choice. Starfield is what it is. They're not going to reinvent the wheel. It is what it is. So, yeah, like after seeing this, I was going into this, I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna have to do the I tried video on April 7th trying the update. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna bother, honestly, which is kind of shocking and surprising to even say, because usually we cover all of these updates and everything, but at this point I'm like, you know, I'm not really sure it's even gonna have that much to talk about, you know? So we'll see. But either way, there's the Starfield update. The Terran Armada update is coming for $10, apparently. Apparently it's $10. And that is going, I think that probably indicates, you know, that they're much more grounded in what they expect of it compared to Shattered Space. I hope that does not indicate that it's only an hour long, but I guess we will never know. But you know, because Terran Armada being $10 and Shattered Space was like $5, unless you were really taking your time on side stuff. I'm interested to see how that goes. Yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't get my hopes up that's going to be massive. My dumbass is getting it for free. Hell yeah, Redhead Jack. Hell yeah. Todd may not be in the video, but he's always in our hearts. Hashtag Todd bless. You're damn right. Can you even call it an update if it's paid? Well, this update, to be clear, unless I missed something, correct me if I'm wrong, this update is going to be free to everybody on Xbox and PC who already has the game. It's coming with the PS5 launch. It will be for sale on PS5 for $50, and but all these like quality of life improvements for the end game are included for free. It's the expansion that's $10 and the faction quest that is like $10. Yeah, to be clear, maybe I wasn't clear, Doomwalker. The expansion, the Terran Armada expansion, is 10 hours. Yeah, update free, DLC paid. Yes. Was I not clear? Did I phrase that weird? My brain is fried after the last day and a half. So if I was not clear, I'm sorry. To be clear, DLC is paid for $10. The Terran Armada update is $10. The faction quest that they outlined, the Trackers quest, that is also paid unless you already paid for it, in which case the new stuff is just additional. But then the updates that they showed are included. Okay. Aliens will surely be added. They want this to last so long. When they do Aliens, there will be big hype for it, especially when they run out of ideas. I don't think there's aliens, because I just don't think there's aliens. So I maybe the whole thing is that when you get to the end of the Terran Armada quest line, they're being controlled by one alien species and they leave it on like a cliffhanger for another expansion. But my understanding, and the leaks have suggested, that after this, Starfield's done. Like, Bethesda's support of it is going to slow down significantly. Like, this is the big thing, you know? Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. For me, I am actually surprised that there were a few things that were leaked or rumored rather, for a long time that were just not there, which is surprising. So I'm left kind of underwhelmed, even though if you're an endgame player, there's a lot here for you to sink your teeth into for sure. But yeah, I'm kind of like, meh. You know, so there you go. Terran Armada is included in the premium edition, looks like. Oh, so if you had the like whatever season pass thing, it's included for free. That's good to hear. I'm glad they're doing that. So make sure to include that at the end of the clip, Jacob. It sounds like if you had the premium edition, it's included for free, which is nice. That's good. Also, the New Game Plus negates the drive to pursue any of this until New Game 10 Plus. Well, that's why they have that drive thing, to bring upgraded weapons and stuff. And I'm sure you can also bring the X-Tech material with you to the next New Game Plus. So it encourages you to do that. So there you go. But okay. Now we have to look at an interview. That's what we got to do. Okay. Are you ready? We'll end that segment. Jacob, we can do this as an additional one. Otherwise, they're just going to be too massive, too girthy. So we'll leave it there. Is there a deluxe as well for PS5 that's included in that? The price? That was what was leaked. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet, but that probably includes like the season pass with all the DLC and the like Trackers quest line, I would assume. Yeah, RPG Veteran says yes. Okay. Yeah, it's like a $70 thing. Yeah. Okay, let me read these real quick. Catch up a little bit, and then we're going to talk about Todd's interview he just did with IGN. 53 Nights, I love this so much. I hope they ruin some lake in Canada perfecting it. Oh, DLSS, you mean? Maxwell, thank you for the 5. Imagine Sony is the one who saves us from AI. Look up Sony AI tool for copyright infringement. Oh no, do I want to? Sony has developed a tool, an AI tool that protects creators' copyrights by prohibiting Ghibli-style outputs and providing compensation. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, so they just have an AI that's like doing the inverse of that. That's interesting. I'll have to read into that. I have it pulled up in a tab. Thank you. Let's see. $0 Row. Thank you for that. Crimson 86 to 92 Metacritic score because of how generational of a leap it is graphically. That being said, I worried for onboarding point deduction. I've said since my initial previews, I do think there will be, and so I've been saying this since before I had a review code. Okay, so I'm not breaking anything. I've been saying for like a long time that I do think there's going to be like games journalists who are really, really perturbed at the lack of yellow paint. I do think that's going to be a thing. I do think that's going to be a thing. So just be ready, because there's going to be, and people will make fun of them, as is their God-given right. But I do think there's going to be memes and jokes about like, this game journalist scored it at a 7 out of 10 because they couldn't get past this boss because they suck. You know, I think there's going to be stuff like that. So for sure. The Amir, thank you for the 5. Maybe if they didn't put out AI for use to sue and create videos similar to what they showed us, we would feel differently than how we are feeling right now. I mean, ultimately, however people feel is how they feel. If you look at something, whether it's a product, a video, a tech feature in a GPU, whatever, and you think it looks bad, that's what you have to deal with. It can be a technical marvel, but if people don't like it, they don't like it. It's the same thing with like VR headsets. Marvels of technology. The Vision Pro, the Apple Vision Pro, amazing marvel of technology, tracks your iris and it tracks your fingers without you using controllers to detect when you're clicking on stuff. And so you can look at the corner of a window, tap it with your finger, and then like expand it without having to do anything. It's a marvel of technology. Nobody cares. You know, like nobody cares because it's a product in search of a solution and a problem. And so it just doesn't click. And so if the customer at the end of the day just doesn't feel like your product, as remarkable as it is something they want to engage with, that's what you have to deal with. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe they don't appreciate the tech as much as they should, but it just is how it is. I mean, it is what it is. Typhlosion, thank you for the 10. So the AI mask is like a silver behind and it's like a sliver behind and looks fake. Also, the ghosting will be so bad, should not be a thing. We have to opt out, but we should have to opt in. AI video still ain't good to this dat. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I'm tracking. That it should be specifically opt-in instead of opt-out, instead of it being enabled by default. My understanding is like if you want to use DLSS 5, you have to specifically enable DLSS 5. Like in any game, you have to select it and then turn it on or whatever. Again, what I find surprising is that specifically the filter on faces, I know it's not a filter, the pass on the faces that it does is enabled by default and is up to the developer to tweak and adjust. I think maybe some of the feedback from yesterday and today, hopefully they respond to that, and there's like a toggle in the menu to disable the pass and the DLSS 5 pass on faces. Maybe if that's how they do it, where you can toggle it on or off on faces specifically, that might immediately help people get over it. You know, that might help. Kyle, thank you for the 5. Breaking AMD to release FSR Slopstone with even more AI slop than DLSS 5. Never count out AMD's ability to be a day late and a dollar short. They really have a talent for it. Orion, thank you for the 2. If we get DLSS 5 on GTA 5, we can push back GTA 6. Don't tell Rockstar that. Don't give them ideas. Chevy, thank you for the 5. I don't want your opinion. I want my opinion out of your mouth. Spoken like a true YouTube community member. Thank you, my friend. Much love. Dogmatic Socrates Mammalianism. Thank you for the 10. Everyone hated DLSS until literally the DLSS 4.5 update. Until now, everybody talks about how it's better than native. That's literally what's going to happen. People can't see the forest through the trees. Well, no, to be clear, I think that's a perfect example of what's happening now. I think you're right. Where DLSS was seen as a crutch It's making games run worse and all this until it reaches a point where it's so good. It's like, it's literally better than native rendering. It's adding detail. It's adding like things. It makes things look better. So people, all of a sudden, the results speak for themselves. But until the results were at that level, they vocalized that it wasn't ready yet. This is an example of something that's not, in my opinion, ready yet. Eventually it will reach that point though. But what are we supposed to do? Pretend like it looks amazing when it doesn't? Like, that's, I guess, my question is, it's like, people don't have vision. Okay, so do you want me to say it looks great when it doesn't? Because then it's not going to improve if they don't need to improve it. Like, give them honest feedback. And the honest feedback is that I don't think it looks ready. You know? Let's see. Long Hot Lazarus, thank you for the 20. What a name. Always appreciate your solid feedback, brother. Great content. Thank you, my friend. Much love. Glad to have you here, my friend. Much love. Much love. Much love. Okay, I'm going to do just a few more and then we're going to move on to Todd. Okay, Todd's waiting for us. He's being patient. He's patient. He's sitting. He wants to talk. He's wearing a nice watch. You ready? Okay, where did I leave off? Bass player, thank you for the 5. We were also told UE5 games run bad because devs don't know how to use it. I'm not sure specifically what that's referring to, but yeah, I think it makes everything so much easier that they just have to get games running well enough that optimization kind of goes out the window. There's also some like core problems with Unreal Engine apparently that make it prone to certain difficulties in like open world games, but that's a topic for another day. Velvet Patterns, thank you for the 10. AMD has the perfect opportunity to do the funniest / coolest thing possible with FSR 5 and make tons of goodwill and cash with consumers. I do agree. If they came out firmly and were like, we're not doing that, it would probably excite consumers. I don't think investors would like it. Because again, your excitement is worth $800, $1,000, $1,500 for whatever the GPU is. The excitement of an investor for them is worth 10x because they're going to invest in the company. And they might even invest leveraged. So that's worth all of a sudden 20x, you know? So as easy as it would be to get your excitement, the investor's excitement's worth more. That's kind of been the story, the problem with all of this AI bubble stuff for a long time. Yeah. I saw a comment calling you a shill. A shill would not have a Todd candle. Just saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Dude, if I was a shill, I'd be included more. And I'd have to get rid of my cardboard cutouts. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You kidding me? You kidding me? Dev of the Dev, thank you for the 5. KCD2 Ultimate Critique, and I will give you my soul. Dude, I want to. Oh, give me another reason to replay KCD2 for real. I'll do it. I maybe we'll revisit that over the summer. Maybe that's what we do. That'd be funny. Tonsil Slapper, what a name. Thank you for the membership. Appreciate you. Skelly Max, also thank you for the sub over on Twitch. Thank you. Kevcast, did the Starfield stream mention anything about loading screens, or did they completely ignore the topic? They, as far as I can tell, they just ignored it. I don't think they did that. Yeah, I don't think they touched on it. Of course, cruise mode sort of does because it removes the load screen between planets in a solar system, but I don't know if that's enough, you know? I don't know. Stefan Konstantin Dumitrash, thank you for that and for the message. Candle Pope indeed. One day I'll get a hat. Kyle Cuts Vids, thank you for the 5. Curious they didn't showcase any racing games for DLSS 5. I mean, they already look so good. I think they were clearly trying to showcase faces specifically, which is funny because it's the faces that upset people. Shaharyar Ansari. I'm so sorry. I tried my best. I'm an American. I don't read good. I am afraid the DLSS 5 can't handle heavier shadows in front of the models. I have the sneaking suspicion about it given the AI gen vids I've seen on Twitter and other social sites, not for horror games. Fs. My thing is I just want to see it in motion, like in an extended gameplay shot. I want to see this running for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and see what it actually looks like in motion, in practice, in gameplay. It's easy to make something look good in a 30 frame or 30-second snippet. It's a lot harder to make it look good for an extended period of time. And I think there's a reason that they let Digital Foundry see it behind closed doors and film the screen, but they didn't allow them raw capture. They didn't allow them to do like extended capture. They didn't put out an extended multi-minute clip of gameplay. It is still early. It comes out later this year, so I'm sure we'll get to that point where they do reveal that, but that's what I want to know. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. They're suggesting it's a good game for a theme. I'm not sure what that was referring to. I'm sorry. If you want to clarify, Art of Wade King, thank you for the membership. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Is that for DLSS? Bass player, thank you for the 5. I would say before this bricks all the mods, then I remember modders didn't even bother to try to fix Starfield. Yeah, they kind of abandoned it. At least a lot of them did. Some of them did stay because you can make money on the Creation Club, which you couldn't really do 10 years ago, but yeah, a lot of them left. Well, the XP thing for the 2 can't take DF serious anymore. They're NVIDIA shills. I was surprised that there was no real pushback, or like they mentioned, I think this is going to be received very interesting. I think there's going to be debate about this. I was like, okay, yeah. Do you have any opinions on it? Like, do you have any thoughts on whether this is good or bad, or whether it's ready for prime time? Like, there was just no critical evaluation. It was literally just, here are the talking points. You know, I don't think they realized that people would expect them to be much more critical, evaluating it critically than that. It was surprising. Vietnamese, thank you for that super chat. What's crazy about Starfield is that the side content is better than the main campaign. Some side quests are amazing, like the one where a ship left Earth 1,000 years ago, or 10,000 years. I think 1,000 years ago. Yeah, some of the side quests I genuinely did like. It's unfortunate that they don't get as much love as I think they probably should, but that is the tricky thing. Todd interviewed Mortismal Gaming, says Doomwalker, thank you for the 2. My one hesitance with doing the Mortismal thing is I don't want to step on his views. Like IGN, they post it. IGN's the biggest gaming outlet in the world. They're going to be fine if I react to their interview. I don't want to step on Mortismal's views though. So usually when it's like an individual creator, I'll give them like 3 days or 4 days before we like check it out. That's my only hesitance, is I don't want to step on his interview's performance. If there's something really, really worth checking out, then we should do that. But you know, I don't want to hurt his video's performance, especially because our clip on, if it's got Todd in it, probably does like 80 to 100, you know. Luke, thank you for that. 11 months. Todd may not be in the video, but he's always on our hearts. Indeed, he is. Never forget that. We're almost there, guys. 4 more. Redhead Jack, thank you for 20 months. Ooh, baby, my dumbass is getting it for free. Hey, if you get it for free, are you really a dumbass? Long, oh yeah, we did read that one. Long Hot Lazarus, thank you for that 20. Very generous. And then Clint Bors, thank you for the 10. Brand new to your content, incredibly fun to watch some interesting and intelligent conversations about gaming. Glad to have you here, my friend. Much love. Much love. Glad to have you, my friend. And then Master Gaiden, wow, that's a Freudian slip. Master Gaiden, wow. Thank you for 9 months. If NVIDIA continues to invest billions in their R&D, AMD will never catch up. At this point, it is legitimately difficult for AMD to catch up. Like, no joke, it is. Yeah, and then Hero. Here's Heroes Hero. There you go. I got there. Thank you for the 5. Lack of yellow paint is Pearl Abyss, a DSP detractor. This game has meme possibility written all over it. I'm not going to go in too much about all that, but I will say that stream is gonna be funny. That's all I'll say. That stream, when he tries it for the first time, is gonna be funny. Okay, just be ready. There's gonna be where am I going? They still haven't told me. It's gonna be funny, dude, because it's unapologetic. It really is the anti Phil game. It's gonna be funny. Just get ready. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, new segment. Todd is here. He's talking to someone I don't recognize, but I'm sure they're pretty cool. But Todd is sitting here with Michael Higham. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. And they're talking while Todd wears what are toes? Are those Nikes or boots or what? I can't tell. Anyway, sorry, I lost track of the rhythm. Todd is here to save the day, and he's gonna talk while drinking a giant mug of coffee. Let's do it. Let me move my camera right between them, so it's like Todd's looking longingly at me. It's all I've ever wanted. It's all I've ever wanted. Air Forces? Do they make Air Forces brown like that? Are they Air Force? I bought my wife a pair of Air Force Ones because she wanted them, but yeah, I didn't know they made them brown. Anyway, okay. Let's do this. Turn on the audio like a pro. Okay. Todd Force Ones. You're damn right. You're damn right. Okay, let's see this. Ready, set, action. Todd just sat down with IGN for an interview. It's labeled Todd Howard Talks Elder Scrolls 6 Progress, Starfield PS5, and new updates, and more. I'm guessing this is going to be a video where Todd talks for about 20 minutes about the Starfield updates, how it's completing the vision he always had. When he's asked about Elder Scrolls 6, he's going to say it's coming when it's ready, and there's going to be very, very little about it. And then when it comes to and more, I'm guessing he's going to mention Fallout 76 and the Fallout TV show. I'm guessing this is going to be a nothing burger, but we're going to watch it together anyways. Okay. I've just been conditioned and prepared, to expect less. So let's see. I'm going to sit between them. So it's like Todd is looking at me longingly. Okay. Hey, buddy. Hey, let's talk. Let's do it.
You on the Starfield updates, what's happening with Fallout 76.
It's not at the start. Sorry. Okay.
Since we're on the topic of Elder Scrolls 6, what can you tell me about
nothing?
Where it's at?
I've never heard of it.
Lessons you've learned from Starfield.
Pretend we never announced that.
IGN's here at Bethesda Game Studios, and I'm with studio head and creative director Todd Howard. Everyone knows you. And it is really nice to catch up with you on the Starfield updates, what's happening with Fallout 76, and everything else with Bethesda games. So I guess I want to kick things off. Folks know what's up with the Starfield updates now, but take me through how the team got there with thinking of how to update Starfield. The game has changed. We don't do expansion packs necessarily anymore. There's still DLC, but you have intermittent updates and all that. So a lot of quality of life changes, extra quests and all that.
Dude, if I did this interview, I'd be such a troll. Can you just tell me, when you're trying to figure out what to do with the update, like, what are you thinking? What were you thinking? Yeah, just let the line out. Let the line out. See if you get anything hooked and pull it in. You just gotta. Okay, so Todd, when you're trying to find the right idea, you're looking at everything, and you find something and you're like, this is the right idea. How do you discover that? Like, what gives you the right idea?
So take me through the journey of determining how to update Starfield since launch.
Yeah, it's a great question because there's so much in the game. There's kind of so much that we could do, so much the team wants to do, so much the fans want. I think as we went into sort of, as we call it, year 2, there were the creations thing and the faction quests with Trackers Alliance that we have been working on and finding out the right way to kind of bundle those together. And then we have all the other features we want to do, from like the Elder gameplay to ship modules to other things. And then we start looking at, well, you could kind of chop that up and release them like this. But, is there a collective way we can kind of do these things as one? And then you have the story with Terran Armada. And that really stemmed from changing the game more in like a meta way, like the way you play it over many, many hours, where it's 10 or 100, as opposed to just having a quest line that you do and then you're done.
I think a frequent topic that comes up in conversation talking about the trajectory of Starfield is how you communicate with your community, giving them what they want, but also doing something that's still true to y'all's vision with Starfield. So how do you balance that when you have millions of players ask for a million different things, but then, you have limitations, you have things that you want to put in. So what's the relationship been like with folks who have stuck with Starfield since launch?
Yeah, look, we've done a whole bunch of updates since launch, but then we clearly have gone through a period where we were kind of quieter as we were putting all this content together, because we felt that like, you know, there'll be a good time to announce it all at once, but that also, it does kind of feel a little bad for us where you want to tell them like, this is what we're doing. But we sort of like, you know, breadcrumbed, hey, we're working on stuff. That only goes so far. Our community wants to know when we're really talking about it, when it's releasing, to make sure those moments for everybody playing are as exciting as possible, as informative as possible. So I guess we're looking at the community too for feedback on, you know, what do you want to hear from us, when, how. It's something we're still, I say we wrestle with it, when to talk about something.
Yeah.
I don't know, Todd. I don't know if I believe that. Like, people have been telling BGS for, like, no joke, like 2 decades, since the era of Oblivion. People have been telling them, you should be more communicative. You should be clearer with what the plan is. You should be more transparent with, like, updates and things like that. And certainly in the wake of Starfield, there was a real craving from the Starfield community for more transparency and more clarity. And they just didn't. Like, notably, I'm just gonna scooch over. Notably, there was the one thing with where they said, I think it was May of last year, they said, yeah, or March of last year, they were like, yeah, we're gonna share more soon. We can't wait for you to see what we've been working on. And then they just said nothing for the rest of the year. That's unacceptable. Sorry, Bublivion, you're right. Bublivion. That's just unacceptable. Like, that's ridiculous. That's insane. So when he's like, yeah, we're still trying to figure it out and trying to find what the community even wants us to say, you know, it's just, I think Todd's thing, it's been made very clear in many interviews. He does not like long marketing cycles. He does not like the eyes on something for a long time before it's ready. He wants to be able to just announce, drop. That's it. Max like 6 months. That's his dream, is to announce and within 6 months the game's out. That's his vision. That's what he likes. And as a result, that means that he goes radio silent. And it's because he wants, when he announces something, for it to be a big moment, for people to get really excited. He wants it to make a big splash, which I understand. But I feel like there's a way to have a big splash while also not leaving your audience to think that the game is abandoned. Because up until like a month and a half, 2 months, or well, I guess technically it was November when the leaks of a preview event started happening. There were real questions whether the second expansion was canceled. There were real questions as to whether Bethesda was totally abandoning Starfield, which is a problem if you're allegedly supporting this game for years to come. Like, the fact that people didn't know if this was canceled is bad, you know? So I think they know what the audience wants, what the community wants. I just think they're conflicted because Todd likes to do big splash announcements, which I think worked in 2008 or 2011 or even 2015 to a certain extent. Nowadays, I'm not sure if the same strategy works the same way.
I want to talk about the PS5 port because it's been, at this point, 2.5 years since Starfield's initial launch. So, like, why now? Was it technical limitations? Is there anything you could share on the business side that may have been a hurdle to get to a PS5 port? Granted that, you know, Bethesda is under the Xbox banner.
Sure.
So is there anything you could share in terms of how you finally got to a PS5 port after all this time?
Well, I think after the game came out, it was obviously a question. It was a question in the audience. It was a question for us. We've always wanted to do it. I would say that. We have a great relationship with PlayStation. You know, we've been there for a long time with our games. So I think with this one, we knew it would be a matter of time. We've been working on it for a while. So we still maintained a close relationship. We're still shipping a lot on PlayStation, people forget. Like with Fallout 76, the other updates, Skyrim, we're still doing a lot of PlayStation work, even though Starfield wasn't there. So we're just, I tell you what, so excited to get it out there on the audience.
So on the topic,
I do think this is probably one of the last big moments for Xbox bringing exclusive stuff over. Because, I mean, they went 2.5 years before they brought it to PS5. It's fascinating. Starfield really was. It's easy to forget now, but Starfield was the first big game that Xbox had that was going to be totally exclusive, not going to PlayStation, which was a big deal at the time. And it didn't seem to move the needle that much, to the point where then after that, Xbox started pushing, you know, everything everywhere. So it's fascinating to see that it took this long to end up on PlayStation. You know, it's very interesting.
Of the relationship with Xbox and being under that banner, you know, recent changes drastic changes, with Phil Spencer retiring, Asha Sharma taking over. What can you tell me about your relationship so far with the new leadership? I know Matt Booty's still there, so you're probably still in contact with him a lot, but how are you feeling about this shift in Xbox leadership moving forward?
I hate it. It's terrible.
Well, hey, look, I'm of two minds, right? I'm excited whenever there's new things and where they're going in the future with the hardware. I've known about that for a while and all the plans. I will say I'm sad to see Phil go. He's a good friend. He's one of the key reasons that we've been, a large part of Xbox, not just after like them acquiring us, but even before that. You could see Xbox kind of being our lead platform a lot of the time. And I wish people knew, I've sat in so many meetings watching Phil Spencer and Matt Booty look at games, not just anybody's game, and wanting to protect the creative vision and find a path for success. How do we protect this? How do we make it successful? And I've seen them do that behind closed doors so many times, and I don't think they get the credit for it that they deserve. They're, great game leaders, and Asha's coming in. Everybody thinks so highly of her, so we're excited about the future.
Now, you mentioned something about hardware, so I gotta press you on it. Of course, I'm not gonna be getting any answers about what the next console looks like or anything.
I think they're talking about some stuff today, actually.
Yeah. As we're recording this, GDC is happening.
Yeah,
I'm seeing things here and there, unfortunately.
Literally like an hour ago.
Yeah. So I'm not there right now because I'm out here. But I guess a more broad question is, as you are in the process of developing Elder Scrolls 6 and you're continuing to update Starfield, what is it about a next gen console do you actually need and or want?
It's a great question. I think, look, we've been fortunate. We see that stuff really, really early.
Yeah.
And it's tricky for, we'll say, console manufacturers, wherever they are. They have to take a very long view of development when you sort of tape out on a chip, how you call that timing and cost, and then what does it look like 5 or 10 years after that. So it's really, really tricky kind of thing to maneuver both technically and business-wise when anyone is making a system like that where you're gonna lock it down. Our approach has always been, and because fortunately we've had such a PC audience, and we're doing it more and more going forward, which is to cast a wide net technically, to both take advantage of the very high end, but allow the game to scale down and handle. You look at handhelds now, you look at how popular those are becoming, and I think you're gonna see more of that and lower powered devices, lower powered where, say you're traveling and you wanna, underclock that thing in a certain way. We want our games to be able to handle that.
Which is interesting because BGS, their games are notoriously CPU bound. So games scale well in terms of GPU stuff because you just lower the resolution, you lower the bells and whistles graphically. CPU bound games, it's a lot trickier to get that scaling, right? Because if you need a certain number of NPC stuff calculated and simulated, physics simulation done on the CPU as opposed to the GPU, if you need all of these things done on the CPU, that's a lot harder to scale because historically, that's where handhelds will start to fall behind, not just in terms of GPU power, but also in terms of CPU power. It's like the big question with Red Dead 2, is that game seems to be CPU bound more. Red Dead 2, GTA 6, Red Dead 2 also was CPU bound, but that's one of those tricky bits. It's like you can have all the graphics power in the world, but if it's CPU bound, it doesn't matter because you're still going to be limited by how fast the CPU can process what's going on. So my understanding, and I spoke to a number of modders when Starfield was fresh about optimizations there, because there was also a debate over whether they were going to be able to get it running at 60 FPS at all. And my understanding is it takes a lot of work to get the creation engine running like that, on lower end hardware. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I don't think he's joking when he says they're building everything to scale. I do think that is the future. I think that is what all of these studios are doing. It's not just BGS. I think PlayStation's starting to look at that. There's rumors of them doing a handheld. Of course, on PC, there's all sorts of gaming handhelds, and that's becoming a big point. A lot of people have Steam Decks, and that's where they're playing their PC games, predominantly. And so it matters to them if it can run on Steam Deck or not. So I do think that that's definitely going to be one of the big pushes moving forward.
So I think more than anything, when we look forward, we're less about, we are going to make the game and tie it to this spec, which we would sometimes do in the past, like particularly in the 360 area per se, where you might be really constrained. Now they're powerful enough, and you're looking at those different scopes of things where instead of constraining ourselves, we're widening it. Does that make sense?
And so on the question of tech also, we talk about still sticking with Creation. Creation Engine 2 with Starfield, but moving to a third iteration of the engine with Elder Scrolls 6. What are the things that you need out of a third iteration of Creation as you are building a new game for it?
Gosh, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, look, you get your whiz-bang rendering shiny pixel stuff that everyone would expect. And I think the change to Creation Engine 2 from where we were for Starfield was such an, upheaval for what we were doing. We felt coming out that we could have managed that better. So going into Creation Engine 3, I can't say enough about our tech staff and how they've handled that transition so that we can still be making a game while that is going on. I think it's, again, as we look at future tech, I already mentioned casting a pretty wide net and scaling way up and also down. I think there are things outside of the rendering that you would expect as it comes to data systems, how our worlds load, how they load content and present things of high detail close to the camera without spoiling it, So there's some foundational things that we felt we wanted to do.
If he doesn't mean cutting out the load screens, I don't know what that could possibly be referring to. Like, he's saying they wanted to revisit and tackle how the engine loads things in and everything. Like, he's literally saying loading. So if I swear to God, if the Creation Engine 3 and Elder Scrolls 6 launches with load screens to go into buildings and stuff, it's going to be crazy, dude. Because again, we're just looking at, look at one example from this year, Crimson Desert. Just the previews have blown people's minds, technically speaking. That's only going to be better in 3 years-ish, 2 to 3 years when Elder Scrolls 6 is ready. That's only going to be even crazier. There's going to be even more. We will certainly, by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, we certainly will have had GTA 6 launch. The expectations were already above what the Creation Engine could do back in 2023. And I have felt for a long time, and I've done the MS Paint demonstration on this numerous times, but just to do it again, because why not? I feel like, if this is every other studio's technical capabilities over the years, BGS back in the probably, I would say, Oblivion era, they were actually above a lot of the competition. But as time has gone by, they've kind of plateaued and they've fallen further and further and further behind. So maybe this crossing point is 2015. I don't know exactly when it would have been, but if we say 2015, they were in line with what the industry standards were. Everyone else had pretty much caught up with what they could do, but they were in line with what you would expect. By Fallout 76, significantly behind, or a little behind. By the time of Starfield, there was a pretty big gap. By the time of Elder Scrolls 6, I think it's going to feel even more significant because you're going to see games like Crimson Desert that are also sort of fantasy with swords and everything, and they have no problems with loading, and they have no problems with crazy interactivity and graphics and foliage density and water sim, and they have no restrictions at all. And it's going to be even more difficult to hand wave away Creation Engine difficulties. But yeah, what he just said makes me think that they're reevaluating the load screen stuff, and they're going to work on that.
How they load content and present things of high detail close to the camera without spoiling it, So there's some foundational.
So that, how you present things close to the camera with high detail, that to me sounds like DLSS 5. Because bear in mind, when he did this interview, it was at GDC a week ago. So DLSS 5 wasn't announced yet. So that to me sounds like he's referring to DLSS 5. High detail close to the camera. But he also specifically mentions loading stuff.
Things that we felt we wanted to do the things we're doing in the future. And then obviously, like I said, all of the sort of graphics rendering things. But I think a lot of gamers, they were reacting to what's on the screen as they should, but a lot of people think that is engine. And so the actual rendering, like the pixel shaders and everything that's happening, that's actually a smaller part of an engine than people think. The engine deals with data structures and loading and AI and save states and platform, like all of these things that go into an engine are far more than just the final frame.
Sure. I guess to a little bit more specific, talking about Starfield.
Yeah, which to be clear is why one of the competitive advantages for Bethesda for a long time was that the creation engine could have so many individual instanced objects that have physics applied to them. So as you're exploring an environment in Skyrim, you know, if you find a bread knife on the ground, you can pick it up, add it to your inventory, move it around, put it over here on the table and drop it. You know, that level of interactivity was something their engine could do that a lot of other engines couldn't do. The downside of that is because it's simulating physics for all of that stuff constantly, it's CPU bound, and it also limits the scale of each individual scene. So you can't have just like endless loading everywhere, you know? It just doesn't work that way. So that was for a long time their advantage. Now it's actually kind of become an albatross around their neck, though.
With the Free Lanes update, you know, interconnecting planets, kind of broadening the scope between planets. I know that was one of the big criticisms of the original release of Starfield, is that some players felt like there was a lack of exploration in space, and Free Lanes kind of is that answer to that question. Was that like an initial limitation of the tech, or is it just took time to figure out how to weave those things together? So take me behind a little bit about the technical aspect of creating Free Lanes for the Free Lanes update with Starfield.
Yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, you know, if you look at Starfield, I think people who play it know, like when you're in a system, like around a star, all that stuff is there. And we had to make a decision in terms of like, where's the gameplay, right? So you jump into a system, flying through empty space, how much are we making that fun versus where you jump in, and then same thing landing on a planet, how are we making that fun? And so we more sort of made a decision of let's focus on the area you jump in and make that like ship experience the best it could be. But obviously, when you have a spaceship, you're like, well, I want to fly to that planet. I want to fly. Let's take that moment of like just even like flying around the moon. And we noticed mods, people doing it, like, well, clearly the game can do it. So we sort of started with, you want in your...
I'm sorry. I love the idea that they're like, can we do that? And then they check to see if a modder has already done it. And they're like, oh, so we can do it. Like, I'm sorry. That's funny. That's really funny. Like, is this possible? Yeah, no, you know, Tom in Nebraska, he did it, you know, in his garage with a box of scraps. So we can probably do it. It's just crazy to me that they like are looking to the modding community for ideas and gauging what is and isn't possible. It's wild.
Spaceship to sort of fly around the planet. And so it was starting there. Like, we're gonna have this mode where you're gonna go fast. And then it was, okay, well, that needs to have some gameplay. You know, what would you expect? And that's where we got into all of the systems that Free Lanes is. And it still is tricky in finding that balance of, well, it's empty space. If you're running into things all the time, then it doesn't feel like space. It starts feeling like an amusement park of just, there's stuff everywhere.
You know how I bet they're doing this? Because I've been thinking about this. I was like, how did they do that? The problem with the creation engine is, at the end of the day, to put it very simply, this is how a modder explained it to me, okay? You start at a coordinate when you load in, and this is with the coordinates of like 0, 0, right? Just think X and Y. You know, technically there's also another dimension, but yeah, you get what I mean. So you start at a very simple spot. And with the creation engine, because of how they use floats and everything, as you get further and further away exploring, you eventually start to break stuff. This is why there were fish bowls where you could only land in one fish bowl, because the further away you got from the origin point, if they had a building over here that was filled with objects and things to discover, it would start to break down, because the engine was trying to figure out where items are supposed to be placed inside there, but because of how they compress the numbers for locations and for the physics simulation and everything, it starts to break down. Just like the Farlands in Minecraft back in the day before they fixed it. So you always had this problem that you couldn't get that far from the origin point without having massive problems. So I've been thinking about like, how do they do this with the flight where you have a ship, you know, that's flying through through space, you know, fire that's flying through space. How do you do this? If this is flying, you know, light years away, it's going to get pretty far away from this origin point, and like physics within the ship is going to start to break down as well. I bet what they're doing as you fly forward, I bet if this is the world around you, they just move the whole world. So like if the moon is here and then you have, you know, Jupiter over here, they just move everything relative to your motion. So your origin point is staying the same. It's the moon and the planets that are moving around you, contextual to you. Like you're driving through a tunnel, but you're staying still, but the tunnel's moving down, you know? Because then the origin point doesn't change. You can still do stuff within the ship without problems. And who cares if like the balloon of a planet that you're not interacting with, because you still have to load into it by going down, if that does it, you know? If that doesn't need complex physics sim, it's just a ball representation of the planet. I bet that's how they're doing it. Yeah. It's something like a lot of games do. It's actually kind of funny. A lot of elevators in games work that way. The elevator isn't moving up, the whole world is moving down. Because if they try to move up with you, you like clip into the floor, it causes problems. So when you hop in an elevator in a good number of games, the elevator isn't moving up, the whole world is moving down around you, which is just kind of funny. It's all that trickery to get things working that I find fascinating.
So I think team's done great with a system in terms of, you know, the radar beeping and telling you, hey, there's something there to go find. So it's kind of up to you. Dealing with autopilot, it's fun. Actually, I have a lot of fun going into that mode and then getting up. So getting up out of my seat, and then the ship is just cruising at, you know, these crazy speeds through space, but I'm still able to, like, we had talked about that. I want to walk around my ship. I want to talk to the other characters. I want to do all these things in that mode. So yeah, it came out well.
One of the things I love picking the brain of people who've worked on RPGs for so long. I had a conversation with Leonard Boyarsky leading up to Outer Worlds 2 about how they think of RPG systems and creating friction for the player. I know, like, I still say Morrowind is one of my favorite RPGs to this day, because I look back on
You can stay.
on how much I had to like figure things out for myself. There's like a lot of friction that I enjoyed working, but he had some interesting.
This is interesting because I actually agree with him on this. It's refreshing to hear somebody from like IGN talking like this in a way that I'm like, thank you. Friction is good. There's got to be some raunchy analogy I could use. You know, friction is what gives it feeling. You know, like there's some way that you could do that. I'll let you fill in the blanks. But I do think it's true that games that are too polished and too streamlined and holding your hand lose any sense of like actually being played. You're not figuring anything out. You're just going through the motions, you know? Yeah, I mean, we've all played the games where like, you know, you go through and it's like, okay, here, walk over and grab this item off the desk. You go there. And walk over, bring it to this character. You bring it there. And then go over there and talk to this person. Okay. And go over there and do this. Okay. And so you're just going through the motions. You're not actually like playing anything. You're just doing what you need to do. When you have a game that challenges you to figure it out, assuming the systems are robust and are willing to handle that load, that can make your experience way, way better. KCD is a great example where like KCD, when you first play it, there's a lot of friction. It's difficult to figure out, how do I even play this game for 10 hours? You know, like, what am I even going to do? But once you figure it out, it's amazing. Super, super immersive, because you're like, okay, I just did this quest. I'm going to take a quick detour on my way back to Kuttenberg. I'm going to go do some hunting, get some meat. I'm going to go back, make some food. Okay. Oh, well, while I'm doing that, I'm going to dry some stuff over here, and might as well brew a couple potions because I want to save while I'm out exploring later. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then I also, you know what? I got some inventory stuff. I'm going to go sell it. You know, you start to get the gameplay loop, and it starts to make sense. maybe Crimson Desert 2. Based on my preview, I talked about this after the preview, that there's plenty of instances where like that game does not hold your hand at all. Once you figure it out though, it's really cool. For example, when I did the call with Jor Raptor, we did our podcast and we were talking about it, and Jor was like, it's really frustrating how I needed to use this force palm ability that relies on in games. It's basically kind of like mana. It's like spirit is what I think they call it. But you needed that to use a force palm ability to do a puzzle. And he was like, it's frustrating because you run out, and then I just had to stand around and wait for it to refill. And I told him like, oh no, actually you can go into focus mode by pressing down both of the thumbsticks, and he goes into focus mode and it fills up super fast. And Jor's like, oh, that's awesome. That helps. That's cool. But he didn't realize that, or missed the tutorial prompt, or forgot about it, whatever. And so he, like the game was more difficult for him than it needed to be. But once he figured that out, it was like, oh, and it rewards you for figuring it out, you know? But I think he's right that those frictions can really add to the overall experience when you're figuring things out.
To this day, because I look back on how much I had to like figure things out for myself. There's like a lot of friction that I enjoyed working, but he had some interesting answers, and I kind of want to throw that question to you as well, like especially as you continue to work on big RPGs that you want to appeal to a broad audience. But you know, Bethesda does have that history of, you know, letting players be free in this world and determining their, you know, what happens, what choice and consequence. So as you are building new games, you're still thinking of how to revolutionize the genre. How do you think about choice and consequence and creating friction for players in a way that is still enjoyable for a broad audience?
That's a good question. I don't know that I agree with the word friction. I think it depends on the definition. I think it's choices that are interesting, where you know you chose one path over another. And that can also just be in a character system, like how you develop a character. You know, who do you want to be out of the gate? I think Starfield, you know, take that as an example compared to what we've had before with the backgrounds, and hey, you're going to start with these skills, and you sort of come out and say, hey, this is the character I want to role play. And so there's a pretty healthy debate here, I'll say, with no right or wrong answer, in terms of to have a different experience, to make a different character, at what point should you start over? And I think that's where you can maybe get into some friction. Where Oblivion, because it's remastered.
I mean, I feel like he's talking more about systems in general. He's pivoting to like characters, and so I feel like Todd's answering a different question. But
when you play it again, it's a very clear game where you have a couple hours in, you're like, I think I chose wrong. And after Oblivion, I felt very strongly, I was seeing that a lot and thinking, I don't want that in my games. I don't want someone to be like, I made a mistake several hours ago and I have no way of correcting it, which is also why you see sort of the Skyrim system of, hey, you come out, you don't really pick a class. And even in Starfield or Fallout, you're sort of picking a starting point, but you can go in any direction. So if you feel you've made a mistake, you can still correct. There are other ways to do that also, where you get some scarcity, right? In that Starfield is a game with a character system where you can eventually, it's long, you can eventually get it all. Whereas you look at a 76 with cards, there's a scarcity. A lot of games, you know, RPGs in particular, I think there are games out there do quite a good job with like the scarcity of builds.
Earlier, you were mentioning, you know, time from announcement to actual release, and how that's like something.
He's deflecting. Well, no developer wants to say, yeah, we have a lot of friction in our game, because it sounds bad. I get what he was asking though. Like, he's asking effectively, like, how do you balance wanting to make your game accessible to more people while also trying to avoid dumbing it down so you lose the hardcore fans that like gameplay depth, complexity, and maybe some more unforgiving systems that are not trying to hold your hand, that are not trying to be forgiving by letting you respec or letting you change this or that? How do you balance appealing to new, more casual players who don't like that depth, and maybe that scares them away or turns them off? And how do you balance that with the hardcore players that are playing pretty much exclusively because of that depth? And I think Todd was more answering like, he hears friction. He thinks players giving up because the game is unforgiving in one way or another. So Todd pivoted to a different question, I think, but I think it was a good question from the IGN guy. Todd just answered a different one.
You're a little bit more conscious of now. talk about the Elder Scrolls 6 reveal.
Just pretend we didn't announce it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you.
No one's heard a word.
And in 2019, last time I talked to you, like Starfield was still a ways out, as imminent as it may have felt. Various factors happened between then and now. How do you feel about that now? Are you a little bit more conscious of what you share at what time?
Very much.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think, I like to say I always start with when you go and press play, you're about to play a game, like what do you already know? What's in your head? What's your excitement level? What's your expectations? And I kind of back up from there. I prefer not to talk about stuff until I like to compress that moment, right? Where you hear about a game and you can play it. Those would be on top of each other if I had my way every time. That isn't like necessarily the best thing to do with every game. Sometimes you need to inform people and there's business considerations and et cetera, et cetera. If you look back at...
I think it's pretty clear they announced it when they did, how they did, because of the ZeniMax acquisition. It's pretty clear. I don't think that was Phil's choice. I think that was clearly like Robert Altman called him and said, hey, we need to sell the company. We got to release or announce everything we've got to really excite a buyer. So I need you to announce all of this in 2018. And so I don't think it was Todd's choice. I think he's mentioned 1,000 times how he's perturbed by how that went and he wishes they hadn't announced it.
This Fallout
Thank you,
76,
Alexander.
Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6 announcement.
For the sub, thank you.
That was really around informing our audience, because when you're gonna do something new, everyone's gonna ask, like, what about Elder Scrolls 6? What about a single player game? And we did it that way, but it's not my preference. I will say, look, we struggle with the balance, because our fans want to know, they're amazing, and saying like, well, what are you doing? And so, well, I think they'd like to know, like, we're working on a lot of stuff. I think if you look at the scale of our studio, we could have 10 times the amount of people to do all this. We're doing so much, and it's just finding the right times to tell everybody about it. You look at Starfield today. I feel like the Starfield audience has been, what about us? And we had sort of balance with like, hey, the end of the fall was like a Fallout, the TV show, everything we were doing, and we knew like, hey, we're just going to save the Starfield stuff to give it its spotlight during this time.
We also talked about earlier the way Bethesda kind of scales as a project goes on, and as juxtaposing that with the many stories about AAA development being very long and being very expensive. And when people look at, as we mentioned, your time from announcement to release, it looks like that is such a long and expensive process. But you mentioned the way Bethesda scales it from pre-production to full production, and how that's, maybe it's works for you guys within your scope. So can you, for the audience out there, kind of take us behind the scenes of how you're able to manage those kind of AAA expectations and some of your thoughts about how that has happened outside of Bethesda?
Yeah, for us, look, we've been fortunate that, all the games that we've done, have had big audiences, and many of them still have big audiences. So our prime job is always serving the millions of people currently playing a game. And when we start a new game, we're usually going to start smaller, and we can have pre-productions. We'll call it for like 2 years, sometimes 3 years, with a smaller staff to make sure we know what we're doing before we put a lot of people on it. That might be not wasting time, but doing work where everybody feels this might get redone. Some of that is necessary when you're making a new game, particularly a new IP. Like some of this work is going to get redone. We sort of want to minimize that, do enough of that. And then once we have some runway, we've been fortunate to sort of balance, and then, a lot of the team members and our partners outside are coming onto a game. Like we're at that point with Elder Scrolls 6, where the bulk of the studio is on it. A lot of our partners are on it, and we know, hey, this is what we're doing. So that's a good place to get to. But, a game like Fallout 76, going into its 67th update, full team on that. So when you have these very popular kind of live games, that's new for us, having it to that scale and balancing amongst that. We're in a good spot now, but that's been sort of trickier for us these last few years to maneuver.
Since we're on the topic of Elder Scrolls 6, what can you tell me?
I mean, obviously there's only so much he can say, I admire the effort in asking
about
nothing,
where it's at.
I've never heard of it.
Lessons you've learned from Starfield.
Pretend we never announced it.
From the lessons you learned in Starfield and how that's carrying over to Elder Scrolls 6. I know we asked that earlier, but due diligence and all that.
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
You should ask.
Yes.
I'll say what I say up there, because it's sort of I want to be careful what I say about Elder Scrolls 6 too, because I think everybody wants to know.
He said, I'll say what I said up there. I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact. I'm guessing because I've been to these types of events and then doing interviews after the fact. And a lot of time, like there'll be a little slip where they say something like that. It's just to give you a little behind the scenes. Usually at these events, you have like an initial demonstration or they'll do like a presentation in a theater space where they show you like, okay, this is what we're doing today. Each of the game designers comes up, gives a 5-minute spiel about what they're going to show. And today you're going to see Starfield and we're going to show you this, and this. And I'm the head of gameplay and this is what I'm doing. So I'm guessing Todd's referencing up there. They went into like a conference room or a theater and gave a keynote, and that's what he's referencing. But just to give you a little background, when he says quickly, I'll say what I said up there. I think that's what he's referring to. I find that funny to be like, oh, I think I see that.
You know, I want to be careful what I say about Elder Scrolls 6 too, because I think everybody wants to know, and we want to find a time, obviously, that we'll talk about that in depth. But the one thing I'd say is really the tech. You know, as we're going to Creation Engine 3, again, the team has done a really incredible job at like not just pushing what it is, but how it's integrated into our development cycle. So you don't feel that what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, like the game goes down. So we're in a fortunate position where that's a game where, you know, the builds are really consistently working every day. Not every day, but more days than we've ever had, where the build is good, new stuff is in it, we can play it. And when you're making those kind of technical changes we talked about, often you're pulling the rug out from the team who's we're making content. Be like, okay, that doesn't work for this period of time. You have to wait till we get that working again. And we've done a really good job of managing that on this. And Starfield, we struggled there for a number of years in terms of when we went through the engine change.
Yeah. Massive update for Starfield.
Yeah, Todd's smart. Todd knows the eyes are on like loading screens. Todd knows if he can get on stage and say, once you load into the game, there are no load screens in exploration, full stop. He knows that gets like a standing ovation, even though that's kind of like a no-duh with a lot of other open world games. He knows for him and for Elder Scrolls 6, that would be like major selling point. So I think he knows what the assignment is. I also find it fascinating that now they are going with the buzzword Creation Engine 3, Creation Engine 3, Creation Engine 3. Because bear in mind, just like a year and a half ago, when they were asked about Elder Scrolls 6, he said, we're working on it, but it is going to be built with the same engine that we used with Starfield. That was the phrasing. We're building on the tech we used for Starfield. And so it was understood that it was using Creation Engine 2. But I think they realized we need to do like an actual rebranding, because when most people, and you better believe they're doing surveys, they've got polls and data collected. When they look at it, I'm sure one of the number one complaints about Starfield was the tech, was the engine. When people say, what's causing you hesitancy with Elder Scrolls 6? They know it's the engine. So they understand, like that's the big hurdle they have to overcome. There's lots of excitement and hype even around Elder Scrolls 6. They just have to remove some of those barriers. That's the big thing to overcome. That's probably the hardest too.
Field, I imagine there's still more ideas in the works, and the roadmap is going to be longer with for the Starfield audience. So after this big update, what are you thinking for Starfield's future?
I could just say there's going to be more, right? Just like this process of here's all the things we want to do.
Okay.
Some of those may come out on their own. Some of those may be bundled together in a moment, but we have a list of what we're doing after this. We're excited about it just as well. So I just also want to say thanks, and thanks to our Starfield audience out there who's just given us so much great feedback, and the millions playing it. We're just really, really fortunate with a new game like this.
Okay, so they're not done. They're not done. The rumors were wrong. At least as of right now, he's saying they're not done.
If you want to catch up on everything that's happening over at Bethesda and Starfield and a little bit of Elder Scrolls 6, stick.
Well, there you go. I am genuinely so interested in how this update does on like Steam and how it does on all the platforms. I'm so curious. I'm so curious. Because I just genuinely don't know. Yeah, I'm very curious. Oh, Kiwi just linked his interviews talking about Todd's retirement. I think we've looked at this actually previously, but yeah, you should go watch Kiwi Talks' page. He does really good stuff. Either way, there you go. Not much, kind of like I expected, a bit of a nothing burger, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay, can I talk about this now real quick? And then I'll catch up on super chats real quick, okay? News segment. We got it, fam. Crimson Desert on base PS5. We actually have a look at it. We actually have a look at it. Are you ready? Are you ready? It actually happened. Crimson Desert. Here we are. So just on their page, they tweeted out a couple of little things. This is funny. They also posted this where... Dear blank, a humble missive reaches you concerning your free sword blank. We regret to inform you that the aforementioned shall not be able to make it to their place of employment for the foreseeable future. Please, somebody drop this. Take it to your boss. It's so funny. But here's what I'm actually pointing to. Crimson Desert PS5 base console gameplay has been featured on PlayStation Japan's Play, which is a show that they do, I guess, along with a new boss. And so I pulled this up. It is actually, of course, all in Japanese, but they do have a footage and recording of it running on base PS5. So this is an early section of the game that we saw in previews and stuff like that. But they do show an extended bit of gameplay, about 20 minutes, that's cut up a bit, showing it running on base PS5. This has been like the one element that has been the biggest question mark. I don't see many people too concerned about them not showing Series S gameplay because I think everybody gets it, but base PS5 has been one that they have just not shown. They gave Digital Foundry access to the PS5 Pro port, but even Digital Foundry couldn't get access to the PS5 port, like the base PS5 port. So it's been a big question mark for a lot of players whether they're ever going to show it, if it's going to be shown just at launch. But now they've actually gone and shown it pre-launch, which was not what most of us expected. Last I heard was that they weren't going to show it off until launch, which I think is a mistake. And clearly they ended up changing their mind and showcasing this. So of course it's in Japanese, so it's not, and it's covering the same content we saw with the previews. But they do show it actually running. They show some of the actual free traversal, you know, going down from the sky islands down to the surface, skydiving straight down, the seamless transition. This is what I'm interested in. It's like, okay, they cut it. I wish they hadn't cut it so I could actually see like how seamless it is. Oh, this looks like late game stuff, I guess. But it looks like this is probably running at like 1080p 60, which is what the spec sheet said it was. So I think this is the performance mode, 1080p 60. They do have a balanced mode as well, but I think this is the performance mode. I think it's also compressed real bad. It's not recorded particularly well. I'm going to be real. So it's kind of hard to gauge, but it is running. You can see it in action. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that this is not a total dumpster fire. Okay. Like there's been some PC ports on base consoles which were a dumpster fire. And it was like, this is running at 12 FPS. This is not that. It's the 30 mode. So if we can set, oh yeah, no, 1080p premium. You can do stats for nerds as well. To pull up the exact specs of what it is streaming. And yeah, this is coming in at 1080p 30 is what they have. So it might be quality mode, but like it's also, this is the tricky thing. If it's recorded in performance mode, but encoded at 30 and 1080p, like it doesn't matter what it's running at. You're always going to be whittled down to what it is. Also, I just realized Todd is still here. Sorry. We're not talking about Bethesda anymore, but most of the videos are at 30. Yeah. I mean, yeah. it's frustrating when you want to see like, how does it actually look and run? And then it's really compressed. But like I said, the key thing is that it's not struggling to run, period. Like it's actually seemingly pretty seamless and not having trouble. They said new boss. Is there a new boss that they show? Ooh. New boss indeed. Dude, he has 88 of those meals. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like I've even at the previews, we didn't get the chance to make that much food. That's a lot. That would take a while. That's crazy. Yeah, and then they have people actually knowing what they're doing playing, which is always a good idea. But yeah, particle effects are still going crazy on console as well. Yeah. So what was that? So yellow armor light gauge on the left side of the map. As that fills up, you can obtain artifacts, and then you can collect those artifacts to learn new skills. Okay. And some different moves and stuff. There you go. It is just tough to say because it's so compressed, dude. It's really compressed. Ugh, it's still hard to say. But it's, at the very least, it's not running at 12 FPS. It's still running. It's not ideal. You'd still hope to see a Digital Foundry deep dive or something. But it is running. I do still think it's a bizarre choice to keep it more locked down and not show it, but still showing the PS5 Pro version. I get it. You want to showcase the best version of the game that you have. But I've seen a number of people that, you know, obviously have a lot of questions and are wondering how it's going to run on console. They just have like very fair questions about that. But ooh, is this new boss? Oh, there he is. Dude, look at that. He's a big boy. Ooh, he a beefy boy. Damn, that's a big ass boy. Dude, he literally belly flops as a move. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, there you go. There you go. So I encourage you to go look up the video for yourself if you want to see the full deep dive. To find it, you just have to search this. And you can find it. So good luck. Good luck. I don't know how to even begin to type that. But you can check it out. I think it's running better than I was worried it would. Because again, I still have not seen base PS5 footage myself, but they have shown it now. Not an ideal setup, but they have shown it now. So there you go. There you go. I still probably would wait until you can see some actual deep dives of it in like high fidelity. That would be my recommendation. Because even if the game is amazing, if it doesn't run on your platform, what's the point? You know, what's the point? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it's doing. Will Powers just tweeted this out though, saying, thanks guys for all the support. #1 on all platforms ahead of launch. They are #1 on Steam, #1 on Amazon, #1 on PlayStation, #1 on Epic. He doesn't have Xbox, but wouldn't surprise me. So there you go. There you go. We're in the home stretch, guys. Review drops tomorrow on the main channel. Buckle up, buckaroo. And then the plan is when it launches on Wednesday, we're also going to be streaming right as it drops. So buckle up for that. Okay. It's gonna be good. Korean games are usually extremely well optimized, like Stellar Blade and Lies of P. Different priorities, I suppose. I just think it's one of those things where people have seen like the game running on Ultra on PC, and so then they're gonna see that it's like running like the version on console is not going to be on the same level as a high-end PC, obviously, obviously. And so that can cause some people a little, frustration. We're like, oh, I would have liked to have seen that, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's not going to run on the same level as a high-end PC, versus console, but it does still look like it's going to run and look pretty good on console, which is good to see. Luke, please tell me it'll actually look much better than that video on base PS5. I mean, to be clear, that video is compressed to shiz. So I don't know what it looks like on base PS5 because I've not seen it myself, but I would assume it's not going to be compressed out the ass like that video is, but still. Yeah. No spamming, my friends. No spamming, my friends. We cannot spam, my friends. No spamming. Let's see. Helldivers 2, #4 global. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hey Luke, hope your day's going great. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let me catch up on these real quick and then I'll read through those. Juck, thank you for the month membership. It seems like no one talks about ESO. All the talk is Starfield and Fallout 76, but ESO has been going on for a while with the expansions now on PS Plus. Yeah, interestingly, it's not something Todd ever mentions. I get it. It's not in his company. It's ZeniMax Online. So it's not something he's involved with, but I don't think he's involved, period. I don't think he does anything on it. Whereas a lot of the other stuff, like even Indiana Jones, he's involved with, but I don't think he touches ESO at all. Superstar DC, thank you for the 2. I would follow Todd anywhere, wouldn't we all? Marshall, thank you for the membership. What is your opinion on the new Skate game? I've not messed around with it, so I don't really have an opinion, unfortunately. So I could make something up. I'll say, but that's all I got. I don't know much more than that. Let's see. Joshua Champion, thank you for the 10. Thanks for watching my marathon trailer last week. Didn't get the chance to say thanks during the last stream. Oh, you're good, my friend. It was funny. I laughed. It was good. Thank you for sending it over. Thank you for that. And thank you for the 10. Very generous. And then King Cole, slightly off topic. I'm looking forward to a new younger Gen Z head of games getting scolded and threatened by an older CEO and then says womp womp, then proceeds to make $1 million only to get bored because of ADHD. That's very specific. But yes, it's only a matter of time before that happens. It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. We'll get there. Maybe I'll be the first. Maybe we can get there. Do you think I'll be able to play Crimson Desert with 16 gigs of RAM on a 4070 Ti? Yes. Yes. I do think you will be able to run it on a 4070 Ti. Yes. Yeah, it can technically run on a 1060. I don't know why you would do that to yourself, but it can, apparently. Yeah. Yeah. You are well above minimum specs. Yeah, you should be good. You should be good. All right. All right. Do I have anything else to hit up? Oh, they did share the pricing info for the PS5 port. So the PS5 port is $50. Getting the premium edition includes the Terran Armada story DLC, Shattered Space, 1,000 creation credits worth $10, Constellation skin pack and digital art book and soundtrack. That's there. And then you also can buy the upgrade for $25 after the fact. If you buy just the standard edition for $50 and you decide you want the expansions and all that stuff, you can pay $25 for it. So you can save money if you buy it all in one. So there you go. It's crazy to think of spending $70 on Starfield in 2026, but here we are. New platform, baby. New platform. Yeah. What time do reviews drop? In the afternoon, I believe. So, you know, sometime in the afternoon in the US. So yeah. Yeah. We're in the home stretch. But speaking of that, I have to actually go work on that. So buckle up, buckaroo. We're getting it done. Okay? Can't wait for you guys to see it. Much love. You guys are amazing. I am going to call it there real quick. Dry Vice, thank you for that sub as well. Luke, I pre-ordered and took my time off work for Crimson Desert. I think I'm officially stupid. Please help. Well, you're in too deep now, my friend. You're screwed. Hopefully you're not playing on a Series S. Thank you for chilling with me, guys, today. It's been wonderful. I've had a great time. Hopefully you had a good time as well. It was a joyous celebration of Todd, his light, and AI optimized rendering pipelines. Until next time, my friends, we'll be back either tomorrow or Wednesday. Either way, the review for Crimson Desert will be going up tomorrow on the big channel. So just look up Luke Stevens, not Luke Stevens Live. Luke Stevens, if you're not subbed over there, get subscribed because the review is going up there. Okay. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Mwah.